The Race of Champions is where the world's greatest drivers from all major forms of motorsports battle to prove that they are the best on earth. Champions from Formula One, NASCAR, Le Mans, IndyCar, and Rally. Names like Button, Kanaan, Busch, Pastrana, Hunter-Reay, and Christensen are all gunning for one man's title. The reigning champion of champions, four-time Formula One world champion Sebastian Vettel. Not to mention the pride of a nation, symbolized in the two-man competition of the Rock Nations Cup.
I'm Kyle Busch. Welcome to Miami.
This is 2017 Race of Champions.
Coming to you from Miami.
Are you ready?
Welcome to Miami!
Hola, bienvenidos a Miami.
Hi there and welcome to the Race of Champions. It's a concept we all love, and joining me in the studio today to enjoy every minute of it is former F1 and current IndyCar Series driver Max Chilton and Mark Priestley, who spent 10 years at McLaren as a mechanic and was part of Lewis Hamilton's World Championship winning team. So what is it, Max, about this event that all the drivers love? Sebastian Vettel, I mean, it's not as if he's not busy enough as it is, but he's back again defending his title.
Well, it's obviously that famous I am the champion of all champions. And the thing I love about it, it's weird how the race is in the title, because it's actually not a race, it's a time trial. And so it really is a level playing field. They're all in the same machinery, and it is, at the end of the day, who is quickest. There's no racing involved. So it's great to put on this show to the world, and then, fans can see who their favourite driver does compared to these fantastic champions from all over the globe.
Because it is a question we are always asked, who do you think the best driver in the world is?
Exactly.
There's a chance to find out. Well, kind of. Most of them are there. There are plenty of drivers, past and present, from amongst the contenders, including Sebastian Vettel, Jenson Button and Felipe Massa, which, Mark, brings me nicely to talk about Felipe Massa's retirement U-turn.
Yeah.
How much did that surprise you? It's the first time I've seen you to talk about it.
I know, shortest retirement ever, wasn't it? I mean, it's a strange one. There'll be lots of fans at home who are sort of groaning, thinking, why can't we just give one of these young kids a chance? This guy's had his opportunities, had a long career, successful career, got the big send-off, didn't he, in Brazil last year?
Emotional scenes in the pit lane.
Which was great, and he was ready to go, which was the big thing. So I get that, but from Williams' point of view, they've got a rookie in the other car. It's a season in 2017 when we've got big changes coming. They also want an experienced head alongside Lance Stroll to help them guide through this big year of 2017 in Formula One. So I get both sides of it.
It is a big year, and that brings us on to talk about the big announcement that is Valtteri Bottas taking over from Nico Rosberg. I mean, it's the worst kept secret in Formula One. Was it one that ultimately disappointed you, or are you excited by it?
I wasn't exactly excited about it, and I don't think there was millions of people that were. Obviously, it was leaked, or not leaked, but everyone sort of knew what was coming for about a month before Christmas, when after Nico announced that he was retiring, we had a feeling that it was going to be Bottas, and then obviously it came out, so it wasn't a surprise. But the issue I have with it is more just F1 in general. They're very insular, and they feel like they have to replace a driver from the Formula One grid. And obviously, all these drivers are on multi-year contracts. So you're then very restricted to who you're going to pick. Well, there are another categories out there with world-class professional drivers. Scott Dixon, my teammate, I think could jump into any Formula One car and at times outperform any driver on that grid. So that's the issue I have. It's not who they're picking currently. I just think they need to open their eyes a little bit and maybe pick someone younger, because Max Verstappen's proven that actually a rookie can come in and do a decent job.
Yeah,
I think it's a good point.
It's a very good point.
Yeah.
OK, well, look, we need to get back to today. Let's take a look at the groups. It's the individual event, so there are 4 pools of 4. Everyone races each other once, and then the top 2 go through to the quarter-finals. So as you can see there, Vettel is in Group A with another F1 name, either Scott Speed or Alexander Rossi, depending on what happens in their head-to-head. Massa and Pascal Wehrlein, who signed for Sauber this week, are in Group B. No U-turn on F1 retirement for Jenson Button. He's in Group C with 2015 NASCAR winner Kyle Busch. And David Coulthard, who won Race of Champions in 2014, is in Group D. Now, once we get to the last 8, it's a best-of-3 knockout up to and including the final. Well, let's take a closer look at the track with a defending champion and another very special guest.
We're here in Marlins Park down in Miami, Florida. This is normally where they play baseball, but this weekend, the Race of Champions, the best in the world from every different discipline of car driving, is going to be out there doing battles in a fun event. I have last year's champion of Race of Champions, Sebastian Vettel.
Hi, Travis.
Going to take
Hello,
me for
everyone.
a lap and show me how to get around this track. A lot of wheel spin on the takeoff.
There we go.
Probably second gear is going to be good for this. Really tight hairpin right.
Yeah.
Position back to the right side so you can get a good drive off of this corner. It's really, really tight in here. It's a fairly long straightaway. We're going to be right up against the wall as fast as we can, and this is the most important corner on the whole track. Crossover right here is going to be the most difficult part because you're supposed to be a little bit ahead if you're on the right side, but if the cars come together, I know no driver is going to be backing down. Fastest corner coming up here. Getting a good run up here, almost a straight line if you can come off the inside, and then staying straight in this lane all the way through to the finish line. And that is a lap of the rock. Race of Champions, Miami.
I don't think I've ever heard Sebastian so quiet, doing his best Kimi Räikkönen impression there. The thing that really strikes me about that, though, is the crossover, because obviously one side of the track is significantly shorter than the other. But look, it could still happen that we have some sort of collision.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you're right. Because one side's so much shorter, the theory is one car will get to that point so much earlier than the other. But it only takes a poor start from one car or a car sort of nosing himself into a corner and having to get out. And they're going to get there at the same time. It's bound to happen. There's so many races tonight. It will happen once, I can guarantee it.
And you're grinning and hoping that it does, I'm
Of course,
sure.
we all are. We all are.
So, Max, of the lineups that you've seen, which battles are you particularly looking forward to?
From me, going from Formula 1 to IndyCar, I'd love to see an IndyCar driver up against a Formula 1 driver. And obviously, my teammate Tony Kanaan is in Group C with Jenson Button. That's obviously not going to happen with a head-to-head, but I'd have loved to see that happen because they're both, you know, very, very experienced, probably older men of the sport now. I might get hit for saying that, but, you know, very, very experienced. And Jenson's father was finished second in the British Rallycross Championship, and Jenson was testing a car at Sebring the other day, and he's obviously got a passion for it. This is sort of a rallycross style event, so I think seeing those two together would be fantastic. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a very close head-to-head in the final.
Mark, who excites you?
Yeah, I think Group B, the group with Montoya, Massa and Wehrlein.
Yeah.
Interests me, obviously, because we know at least three of those guys in that group, and it would be nice to see them go head-to-head. So Massa and Wehrlein, for example. I'd love to see some of these guys, see who comes out on top. They're not going to end up in the final together because they're in the same group, as you say, but just to see who comes out on top out of those guys it's a real measure of each individual driver, which is exactly why we love this event.
Quick word on Wehrlein, because many were tipping him to be taking the big seat at Mercedes, and he's gone to Sauber, he's put a big smiley face on it, but actually, he'll be disappointed, won't he?
Well, he'll be disappointed, but you've got to look at the flip side of that. He was at Manor, a team that's now in serious financial trouble. So if he hadn't got the Sauber drive, you know, Mercedes have deemed him not ready to step up. That's an issue which you can debate all day long.
Not ready or bad attitude?
Well, whatever it is, I'm pretty cutthroat in this instance. I would say they've got to get rid of him. If he's not ready to move up in their programme, why keep him on? It's costing them an awful lot of money. So it's a difficult situation for him, but he's actually ended up in not a bad place, I think, from where he could have ended up.
Because crucially, he's still got a drive for next year and a
Exactly.
chance to prove himself once again. OK, well, the real event is approaching fast. Stay with us because it is live next. Welcome back to Race of Champions. Now, whilst we were on a break, Scott Speed took on Alexander Rossi in their head-to-head to determine who was going to take the last place in that group. And we're just hearing now that Alexander Rossi prevailed over Scott Speed, and they will be in Sebastian Vettel's group. Well, Alexander Rossi will be in Sebastian Vettel's group. Of course, Scott Speed lost his seat to Sebastian Vettel, Mark, back in 2007.
They're
so that
all
was an interesting one. I know it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's nice to see Alexander Rossi again, isn't it? Obviously, he had a great year this year, winning his Indy 500 race on his debut, which was incredible.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, I think you alluded to it earlier. Formula One's a very sort of insular world. I mean, we rarely look outside it. So it's really nice to see somebody like him go out and be so successful. Max is obviously doing very well now in the States as well, having been in Formula One. So there's life outside Formula One, and a lot of these guys are proving it.
There is life outside it, but until we cross back to Miami, because unless you can't tell, we're not actually in Miami. You can probably tell by your turtleneck and blazer. I don't know how you're sitting in this cold studio like
shivering.
that. You're showing off your tan, that's what it is, isn't it?
You've got to, haven't you?
You've got to do it.
If you've been on holiday, you've got to.
Got to milk it. Let's talk a bit about F1 for next season and the big changes. I suppose the really significant thing is we don't have an incumbent world champion. How does that affect things and the drivers' mindsets that they don't have a current world champion to race against?
I think the person that will be laughing and have a big grin on his face will be Lewis. You know, he's at a team now where he's won multiple world championships. You know, it is going to be closer next year because of the big rule changes. I think Red Bull will be closest to them, but you've got to say Mercedes will still have the upper hand. And it's not easy as a new driver going into a team when you're up against a driver that knows the team inside out. So if Lewis, you know, gets his focus back, which I think he lost a little bit last year, which, you know, he still had a fantastic year. He got let down with reliability. It should be another solid year for Lewis. So I don't think it makes a real difference.
OK, let's touch on the changes and the fact that the cars are going to be about 3 seconds faster because of the overhaul in aero and tyre changes. That makes it much more exciting for us fans, doesn't it?
Well, it should do. I hope so. I mean, what I hope doesn't happen is that what can happen when you get a big rule change is that one team might do a job that's far superior than everyone else, like we had at the last set of rule changes, and we see somebody disappear into the distance. So what I hope more than anything is we get close racing. Whether it's 3 seconds faster or 3 seconds slower, we just want them to be close and fighting their way throughout the season right towards the end. That's what I really want to see.
Oh, well, I know what you want to see tonight, and it's close racing, because you want to see a collision with that crossover. Let's see if we can cross over now to Miami, where the live racing is about to start.
As we stand by for our first group encounter with the Radicals getting ready to go. Just a little bit of track work going on before we can get the cars back out onto the track. So this now is head-to-head for the win in group competition. So don't worry, it's not if you lose now you go home, but everyone does want to get on the board as quickly as they can. Marlins Park, City of Miami, and we're into more regular Race of Champions running now with the group stages, and we're once again splitting up the world's best into 4 groups. And now, of course, we know that Alexander Rossi has taken his place in Group A. Sebastian Vettel, Helio Castroneves out on the track. 2 big names. It's not win or go home, but they want to win.
Absolutely, and as they go up to the line, they will be in the zone. Their passengers terrified, but Sebastian Vettel, fingers up to the camera. He's ready to go.
This Radical SR3 RSX debuted last time out in London. Nearly 1,000 Radicals have been built and raced around the world. Never at a track like this. Great start from the near side lane. Vettel now has to get his head down. He's got the longer way round to the crossover this time. So expects Castroneves, who grazes the wall there. That might get him a yellow card. He should be first to the crossover, and is.
Absolutely. So he comes into the penultimate lap of this, or the last lap, should we say, and slightly in the lead. Sebastian Vettel very close to the sides at the moment, but you can see they take every single barrier coming round to the final drag. It's neck and neck, John.
Tight, but Castroneves gets the power on out to the final corner. And it's just under 0.4 of a second. We measure down 4 decimal places here. Relatively unusual in motorsport. There's a reason for that, because sometimes we need all 4 of those decimal places. Helio Castroneves on home turf gets a tick in the win column against one of the most experienced drivers here and the defending champion, Sebastian Vettel.
Oh, that'll go down very badly with Sebastian Vettel. He'll be coming out and hoping he can do better next time round. Of course, in the first of these heats, we saw Rossi versus Speed. They each do 3 laps. Now, slightly different format as we head into the groups. As John was saying, we've seen Vettel and Castroneves. Now, it's Juan Pablo Montoya versus Pascal Wehrlein. Is that the oldest versus the youngest of our drivers out on the field?
And this is a Group B encounter. So this is the first run out for the Group B, guys, and we'll run through them. Indianapolis 500 winner from 2015, the very laid-back Juan Pablo Montoya, and the baby of the bunch, Pascal Wehrlein. He's been picked on a bit this week.
He has. Poor him. In the driver's press conference, they were saying, yeah, he's been drinking water. He's taking it very seriously. He's definitely going to win.
Four-wheel drive rallycross supercar lights built by the Oldsberg MSE concern in Sweden. These cars are perfectly suited to the tight and twisty confines of Marlins Park here in the city of Miami.
But for a man like Wehrlein, who's only really driven a bit of DTM and Formula One, this is a big difference.
The clutches go in and we're racing for the first time in Group B. And Montoya gets the whole shot down to the home plate turn. Heads out on the right field line, the longer way around the circuit for the first time. They come back together in centre field. This is going to be tight. It should be the black car of Wehrlein that's through first, and is.
Oh, Wehrlein having a very slippy moment as he went through, and for Montoya just clipping the curb as well. So both will have lost a little bit of time. You can see Montoya there in car.
Coming round to the last corner, it's a drag race. It looks like Montoya's got it. Montoya has got it. That'll be popular here.
Very, very popular. When he came out, he got a very big cheer. Well, let's take a breather, ladies and gentlemen. So it's 1 point to Montoya. Wehrlein goes away from that empty-handed, but he has plenty more chances to score some points in a Group B.
Didn't see any huge mistakes there. So Wehrlein did a pretty clean run, but Montoya just quicker. We've been watching these guys practice, and they've been giving as little away as possible. I think Montoya could be a bit of a dark horse. He's playing it very, very cool. Certainly David Coulthard. He's much more up for it and prepared to say so, though.
Yeah, absolutely. DC, David Coulthard, taking things incredibly seriously. Right, hopefully, just in the background, you can hear our next cars coming out on track. We have the man with 1,000,000 watts of a smile, Travis Pastrana, versus Alexander Rossi. Rossi already been out on track, but this a very different car from the Slingshot.
This is the Radical SR3 RSX again, powered by the motorcycle engine, putting out 250 plus brake horsepower. Travis Pastrana is another man who's not backwards and coming forwards, and he wants to progress. He wants to get through. Alexander Rossi back with us again. Will he take a bit of an advantage from being out on the track? Travis Pastrana got to keep all four wheels on the ground. We're off, we're racing. The second Group A race pits Alexander Rossi from America against his countryman Travis Pastrana, and there's nothing between them in the early stages.
Yeah, it's a very close call. A little bit of a touch on one of the barriers. You get to the crossover point, as you can see at the moment. Alexander Rossi just slightly in front. Pastrana with a bit to make up, but having the shorter side now. So how will it go through to the wire?
It's going to be who gets out of the final corner cleanest, and a drag race to the line. They're close, but maybe there's going to be a good run on the outside. I can't split them by the eye. I cannot split them at all. On the timing, it's 0.0505. My goodness. And Pastrana did just get the run to the line. This is a very different looking Race of Champions track, but it's providing great racing early on.
Oh, that's what we like to see, isn't it? It's those moments that are Race of Champion moments, because you cannot call it as they come around the final turn. As you can see, Pastrana and his passenger pretty happy about that. Travis wearing those outlandish race suit. This is a little replay as he goes just out of the circuit. You can see, yeah, he's wearing his full-on Stars and Stripes outfits. That is one way to introduce yourself, isn't it?
So now we move on to the second heat of Group B, and already a problem for Felipe Massa, who's got himself crossed up coming out of the car changeover area and is requiring a little marshal power to get him backwards.
See, this is what happens if you retire from Formula One and then say you're coming back. Of course, Felipe Massa back in a Williams for 2017, although he retired at the end of 2016 to great fanfare.
And now he's retired from being retired. I'm not sure how that works. A bit of an uneven matchup here, because Petter Solberg is a man who knows rallying and rallycross. Felipe Massa's got his work cut out here for Team Brazil against a man who knows these cars. The lights are out, and the second race of Group B is underway, no surprise. Rally man gets away using the handbrake. Solberg not afraid to throw this well across my car sideways.
Yeah, he absolutely loves Race of Champions, doesn't he? Very much focused on this and wanting to get out. But it's Massa who's just in front at the moment. So who can carry it through? They come round towards the penultimate turn. A lot of speed carried in from both guys. This is the deciding moment for it. Who will it be?
Well, it looks easy at the end, doesn't it? Petter Solberg, perhaps unsurprisingly, gets a W. 0.7 of a second. So that's a great run for Solberg. He's out of the car. An update of the Race of Champions favourites. 380 brake horsepower per tonne, 2-litre, 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, weighs about 1,700 pounds or 790 kilos. And as for the pilots, Jenny?
Yes, Sebastian Vettel there is in the orange car, and Alexander Rossi, Indy 500 winner, in the white car. So you have two champs, one of them a four-time Formula One champ.
And Vettel needs a win here. He really does. Hasn't got a tick in that win column yet. He knows what he's got to do against the young Charger. Rossi with a win to his name. Watch for the lights. The engines rise and we're racing again. Oh, and a lot of confidence from the passenger of Alexander Rossi there, just giving the hand signals to the competitors on the other side of the track, and that looks like it's fired Rossi up.
Yeah, it certainly has as he comes round to finish the first loop. They get into the crossover. It's Vettel, as you would expect, slightly in the lead at this stage, having done the shorter loop. But here's Rossi. Oh, he takes a big lump out of the side of the stadium. You can see Sebastian Vettel just smooth.
I would say Vettel has a little advantage at the moment, but who gets out the final corner first? Vettel's going to track by, and he does take the victory, but only just. My goodness, that was closer than I thought. That was nearly a very, very bad loss for Vettel. Needed that win, gets it. That's where the class shows through.
That's amazing. Rossi just making a small mistake on the exit of the final turner. You can see here he just gets it looped up a little bit and just can't quite get out. He touches the barrier and just slightly can't get through. It's so close though. You see the speed is just off.
It's a slightly tighter entrance onto the start-finish straight from that side that Alexander Rossi was on, and he just slid too far wide. Easy for us to say up here, but you need to go in slow and come out fast of that last corner. Yeah, that's why I'm standing up here and not behind the wheel. Back to the radicals. A wry smile on the face of Sebastian Vettel. He needed that victory. The four-cylinder motorcycle engines with the sequential shift, rear-wheel drive only, of course. Felipe Massa, that's a very recognisable racing helmet. Back in the saddle for Williams in 2017.
And that is Juan Pablo Montoya, or JP as I was calling him.
JP.
Let's see who goes as they go head-to-head here in Miami. They're on the start line, preparing to go. Lights are away.
That was a very, very good start indeed by Felipe Massa. Was it too good? No word from the race stewards yet, so I think he's got away with that. The Brazilian throwing the radical around. He's really comfortable in this car. Said it's one of his favourites. Loves the downforce, even at this speed. And he's in touch at the moment with Montoya.
Yeah, nice crossover stage, as you can see. Massa coming back round again with that familiar F1 helmet. There is JP Montoya, a bit to make up. His hands crossing over there as he goes round the final turn. Who's going to have it?
It's Massa. He did that on his first run down through the home plate corner. Magic stuff for them. And it's Felipe Massa who takes the win. Let's head down to Neil with Scott Speed.
So, Scott, you were first blood out there today. Tell us what it was like to go on the cold circuit and race against Alexander Rossi.
I mean, it's such a great atmosphere because we get to go out there in a car that we haven't driven in a track that's so new, and you know, that excitement and that being so new brings a lot of like elements of surprise, and that was a lot of fun. Obviously, it didn't work out for us, but I had a blast doing it.
But I can tell that it's competitive because each time afterwards that Alex got beat, you look quite happy.
No, that's not fair to say.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So Group B, Massa, Solberg and Montoya all with the win. Pascal Wehrlein, the man who was runner-up in London, yet to get on the boards. Back to the crossbars now. And Helio Castro Neves is against Travis Pastrana.
The open visor makes a big difference, actually, seeing right into Travis Pastrana there. You could see him smiling away, very happy with himself as he gets ready to go out and fight again. One win to his name.
Green lights for us, the red lights go out for the drivers, and we are racing. Travis Pastrana goes way wide as he heads down the left field line, and that's the shorter run, so he's got to make the advantage here. As Helio Castro Neves comes round, he's going to be actually quite close. Not quite on the tail, big slide there from Castro Neves coming onto the shorter course.
Yeah, Pastrana's got a bit of work to do to carry on the speed that he's got, but he is slightly in the lead at the moment, so he'll hope to pull that through. You can see the suspension working hard.
It's very close, Jenny, as they say, oh, just a lift by Castro Neves, and Pastrana acknowledges the victory, and so do the crowd. They love it. 0.4 of a second. Pastrana takes the win for the US of A.
And how happy is Marlins Park at the moment? The atmosphere here, quite incredible. And look at that as they come around the corner, so level as they cross the start line, the finish line a little bit later. And by that point, Pastrana ekes away that lead. What a turnaround for the American man.
And that's exactly why we've moved the finish line further away from the start line, so we get the drama of a drag race to the checker.
Take a breather.
Well, we've sold everybody here the full seat. They're only using the edge of it at the moment, as Pastrana has a great word with Helio. Too much understeer, I think. That is the crossed hands. Means too much push. The car wasn't turning when he wanted to. It's such a balancing act here, as the track is evolving all the time as rubber goes down. You've got to push, but you can't push too hard. All right, let's have a look at how things stand in Group A. 2 for 2 from Pastrana. He leads the field from Castro Neves and Vettel. Alex Rossi still to get off the mark, but look at the times. The times are only going to come into it if we get a tie. It's possible, of course, to get 2 or 3-way ties, but at the moment, very close indeed on the times.
Yeah, just showing that the variety of cars, the variety of driver doesn't make too much of a difference, because when those times are coming in, they are so close. So Alexander Rossi there, you just see him putting his helmet on. He is hoping to try and level things out. Yet to score, Sebastian Vettel with 1 point, Pastrana 2, and Castro Neves now with 2 as well.
So next up, we have got Wehrlein, Pascal Wehrlein, DTM champion, youngest ever DTM champion. He'll be racing for Team Germany in Nations Cup. And Peter Solberg, always good for action and variety. He does drive for effect sometimes, but you can just see when he clicks into being sensible, the car moves around a lot less, and all of a sudden he's got that forward momentum that you need to carry through these tight, twisty sections.
And these radicals are great fun. The rock buggies, the guys absolutely love those, but the radicals are the ones that you can really push around this very small circuit. And as you can see, Radical SR3 RSX, it goes fairly fast, I think we can say.
It's the best power to weight ratio, not the biggest engine, not the most power, but a brilliant power to weight ratio. With just the 1,256 pounds in weight and over 250 horsepower, powered by a motorcycle engine, 4-cylinder, Suzuki based, tuned by RPE. Just a week ago, I was watching the 1500cc versions of this car racing in 3-hour races in Dubai in the prototype series. It's a very different challenge for them here. Petter Solberg versus Pascal Wehrlein in Group B. Watch for the green lights. Long hold. Oh, great start by Wehrlein. And he gets the whole shot down towards the home plate side of the track, the longer side on the first run around.
Yeah, having a real fun going into the first turn. They're just moving the car around, sliding it as he goes. You can see there Petter Solberg coming up to the crossover. Who gets it first?
Well, as you might expect, it's Solberg from the shorter run, but now they've got to complete the 613-metre run. Solberg gritting his teeth there, another one who is running with the open face helmet. They're going to be close as they come through. Solberg will need all of the momentum. He's behind at the moment. No, he's there. He's there. Wehrlein goes through.
Yeah, Wehrlein just having a brush with that final barrier. Could have been costly for him, but he managed to keep it on the straight and narrow. There is a penalty system here. Wehrlein getting through, and that was his first win. He really, really needed to chalk that up, and as you can tell, and you can hear, pretty happy, the young German who's just signed for Sauber for Formula One for the 2017 season.
So Group B is tied up with each of the drivers taking the win so far. Just coming out the final corner, not sure. Certainly didn't attract the attention of our stewards, so that one will stand. Inside Marlins Park, it's hot, but not as hot as on South Beach. More to come from Race of Champions. Well, the next competitors are lining up in the driver change area just over what is normally the bullpen here at Marlins Park. And the drivers rather tight-lipped to each other about what's going on as we move into the next round of heats. Alexander Rossi will be taking on Helio Castroneves in a Group A matchup. The 2016 Indianapolis 500 winner is a shy and retiring character.
Yeah, much. Just like Helio Castroneves, actually, both of them. Very quiet.
So this is Alexander Rossi with his hand on the handbrake, the big fly-off handbrake. That's the big lever in the middle. Revs up this 2.4-litre engine. Four-wheel drive, these cars, the only four-wheel drive machines here, and Rossi gets the whole shot down towards what will be for him the left-hand corner that takes him around the pitcher's mound and up the right field line. Now he's got to keep it really tight through the serpentine section. Meantime, he's having a shorter run to the line. He should get there first and will.
Yeah, he duly does. Crosses over to the slightly longer side of the track. Alexander Rossi crossing over just now. So this is going to be touch and go. Bit of work for Rossi to do to make up that time.
I think he made a little mistake there on the first part of the lap, and I think that's going to give this to Castroneves as he comes off the final corner. Now, yeah, it's going to look like a big and easy win, and it was. Helio Castroneves, a tiny mistake from Rossi on the first part of his second half of the lap, and that has cost him the victory. That means Castroneves goes on to 2 wins with Travis Pastrana, and Alexander Rossi with a big 0. He's going home, I'm afraid.
Well, he got to come and have a look and race in a few more cars than Scott Speed, who he got through in qualifying. But yeah, tough for Rossi, but as you can see, Castroneves, very happy man, and I think he liked that.
Now, can Sebastian Vettel grab himself a victory to try and get through? Or are we going to lose the champion? We'll find out in a couple of heats' time. This would be a big story very, very early on indeed. It'll be Pascal Wehrlein and Felipe Massa in the Polarises coming up next.
Yeah, so this is the 3-wheeler, the first time we see it, a Race of Champions. It's never been here before, and this is Felipe Massa, the 11 times Formula One Grand Prix winner versus Pascal Wehrlein, who has been at Formula One, not a race winner yet. So it's Massa versus Wehrlein, eyes concentrated on the lights as they go out. It will be time to race here in the city of Miami, Marlins Park.
The lights are green, the revs rise, the rear wheel, singular, starts to spin on the Polaris slingshot, and Felipe Massa have got far the best run. He's got his visor up, he's working hard, sawing on the wheel. Meantime, the German, Wehrlein, trying to get some kind of balance. These are the cars that are least suited to the drivers, or at least
they're really out of their comfort zone.
That's the one I was looking for,
this kind of thing, it's so removed from what they usually do. But I tell you what, they're into the penultimate of the corners here, and who is going to get this?
They are really technically very clever cars. They do a little bit of counter steering. Oh, it's all come together, and we've got an overhitch. Wehrlein goes over right on the finish line. Massa's already out of the car. He's fine.
Yeah, we're seeing Wehrlein move, so that's good. Let's just check that he is okay. A nasty collision as the two cars just come together, and he is out of the car. So a big thumbs up from Pascal Wehrlein, the young German, getting a bit of a shock there. And the crowd here at Miami rightly applauding him. Massa the first to go over and make sure he's okay. There will be some fixing to do here at Marlins Park. Safety is the priority. The medical team just making sure that Pascal Wehrlein is okay, and we take things very, very seriously here at the Race of Champions. It is a fun event, but we want to make sure that everybody goes home safely, and you can hear the crowd applauding as Pascal Wehrlein is helped away, and his passenger was the one that took the brunt of that impact. So
slightly more exciting ride than they were expecting, but what a story to take away.
I think he was filming that as well.
Hope we managed to pick up what it was. Not sure. This is to the line. I see. Wehrlein just understeering the car into the central barrier, and that dragged the car further to the right. This is from on board. The hand goes up from Massa, then the impact, and over goes the slingshot. You can see on the big screen in the background exactly what happened. Oh yeah, Wehrlein just heads to the middle of the track, and as soon as he hit there, it was going to go over. But the good news is that the Polaris slingshots have got the rollover cage above the driver and passenger, and all of the cars that are selected for Race of Champions have to be nice and safe. There's going to be a bit of a clean-up to go on here as we rebuild the circuit and take away the debris. The action will continue in a moment at Marlins Park here in the city of Miami. Oh, that was a little bit of heart in the mouth time, but the good news is the cars did their job. All the safety features worked. There's going to be a little bit of a clean-up. We've got the track services guys there already. Chance for us to say thank you to all our marshals and volunteers who give up their time at every motor racing event, not just here at Race of Champions. And also should say, for those of you who maybe got a little bit worried with that accident, there are FIA representatives and ACUS representatives here, so all of the normal safety considerations are taken here in this. It is a proper race meeting. Let's go down to Bob Varsha, who's got more here from Marlins Park.
Well, Alexander Rossi, the reigning Indy 500 champion's first visit here to the Race of Champions was short but sweet, some winning and some losing. What was that second round like?
The one against Sebastian? Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I got a bad exit out of the last corner, which was unfortunate, but I lost the other two, so at the end of the day, it didn't make a big difference.
What are your impressions of Race of Champions?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, it's a great event. This venue at Marlins Park is unbelievable. Miami's been a great host, and hopefully get the chance to do it again.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, he looks disappointed, I would say. You know that these young drivers come here. They don't come here not expecting to progress.
Yeah, and Alexander Rossi, you know, he's had some tough points in his career as well. You can see him talking to Ryan Hunter-Reay there, just, you know, talking about this track, the accident, what just happened as well, going through it all. But Alexander Rossi had a few spins out in Formula One and unfortunately never made it. But the man who has made it in Formula One is Pascal Wehrlein. He was just in that big crash, and he's downstairs talking to Neil Cole.
He can't do it.
Well, Pascal perhaps still just a little shaken up, not able to talk to us for the moment as we're waiting for his Polaris slingshot to be brought back, which has stood up to the incident very, very well indeed. It's the car changing area. We've got well, and let's have another look here. It was just a glancing blow at the start of the straight, Jenny, and then hitting the middle there, it seemed to drag the wheel out of Verlijn's hand and turned him further to the right when he actually wanted to go to the left. The race was over at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. It was that touch of the barrier, and it was only a small touch, wasn't it, coming around the final corner, but it just locked it up, and then he was just a passenger, much like his passenger. And you can see what a good job the team are doing there of just removing that Polaris slingshot. The first time that they've featured in this competition, and they are going to prove a little bit scary for everybody else to master here at Marlins Park.
So the cleanup is just about completed by our very efficient track services crew here at Marlins Park, and like any motor racing event, we rely on volunteer marshals, flaggers and corner workers, so thank you to all of them for their great efforts throughout 16, and hopefully you'll be back to make sure we can enjoy our fix of motor racing throughout 2017. We can never have too many marshals, so wherever you are in the world watching on, if you want to get close to the action and really take part in motorsport, get in touch with your local motor club and have a look at how you can be part of the motor racing scene. Not far away from going back to racing, and it's a really important match. Vettel has to win to stay in. Next. So James Hinchcliffe, Juan Pablo Montoya on the right without his race suit fastened up was Jenson Button, and David Coulthard doing some reports for the channel back in the UK that looks after the Formula One now. David with an interest in the production team who are here, and David's going to be mic'd up and camered up in Race of Nations on Sunday, which is something brand new. He's one of the team captains, of course.
Excellent, and he is going to be in interesting form tomorrow, especially if he wins today. That's always a good one. You can see just all the drivers just chatting around, and some of the passengers just saying, am I sure I want to get in this car? Yes, you are. It is such an amazing experience to be racing here and to be sat alongside. And you can see that is the car that Pascal Wehrlein was just in, the Polaris. A fair bit of work for that team to do to get the slingshot back. And whilst we wait for that, oh, look who it is. It's Terry Grant, and he is entertaining everybody here at Marlins, but I think he's got a problem with that car. It seems to be going without him.
Yeah, but I think he's got it well under control. I've been in the car with Terry Grant before, and he spun the car around my toes before, and not once has he put any rubber on my training shoes. Amazing man.
Just tell me it wasn't a hire car.
I'm not sure the statute of limitation has run out yet, so we'll probably leave that one and I'll plead the fifth. I prefer to call Terry a precision driver rather than a stunt driver, because he is millimetre perfect in everything he does. Holds 21 Guinness Book of World Records titles, including the smallest space longer than a car that you can park into at speed. Reverse flicks between two JCBs. I saw him do that live, and I literally had my heart in my mouth when he did that, because I really didn't think he was going to make it when he pulled the two huge machines closer and closer. What a lot of people don't realise is he had a pretty decent run as a racing driver, and I would dare say he'd give some of these guys a run for their money here.
Do you know what? I've always been saying this. They should put Terry into the Race of Champions. Just 1 year, see how he does, just to see what goes on, because I think he'd have a really good chance of winning it. Oh, the deep smell of rubber. If only you were here, you could smell that too, because it is beautiful as Terry Grant does his thing around this baseball park, just by the pitcher's mound, and then he goes to make his way out of this stadium in the sunshine.
Welcome back to Race of Champions Miami, and it's a massive relief to see Pascal Wehrlein happy standing next to me out of that smash. Talk us through what happened out there on the circuit, because it looked very dramatic.
Yeah, I didn't saw the replay so far, but somehow I touched Felipe at the end of the straight, and I drove over his tire, I think, and that's why we we flipped, but the most important thing is that we are both okay, or everyone is okay, and yeah, it was definitely a shock.
It was a shock, and you've been looking very good here this weekend so far in practice. And also, I noticed that on the way into that lap, you were burning up the rear tyre of that Polaris, so you were clearly keen to get a good result.
Yeah, exactly. So I tried to warm up the car as good as I could, but I'm just seeing the replay now.
So talk us through it. We're watching the replay.
Yeah. So yeah, you saw it. So I hit the barrier first with the front right. And that launched me into Felipe, so yeah. Probably I looked too much at Felipe, and that's why I hit the barrier.
Well, that's the danger with head-to-head when you're trying to get in the mind space of the other guy. But you look like you're kind of calming down now, but you must have been a little bit shaken at the time.
No, I was not shaking. I mean, the speed is not too fast, so yeah, at the end it was still a shock. But as I said, the most important thing is that we are both okay in the car, and that's the most important thing, yeah.
Well, we're glad you gave us a show and that you're okay. Thank you.
Well, that's the best news. Both driver and passenger okay. Pascal Wehrlein just going back to the driver area, and we're setting up for a big grudge match. Pastrana versus Sebastian Vettel, and Vettel needs to win it to stay in it. Terry fans taking selfies with other people's phones. Magic stuff, as his car is spinning wildly behind him and eventually comes to a halt. Spider-Man Grant is what we're going to have to call him now, isn't it? That's probably the most dangerous thing he's going to do all weekend, because everything else he's totally in control of.
We have had injuries here before, haven't we, at Race of Champions? I think it was Pastrana that ended up competing with a broken leg.
And he
Terry,
still won
please be
heat.
careful. I know, it's quite incredible, the things that people do to be a motorsport.
Yeah, but Travis Pastrana is cut from a different piece of cloth to most people, and a broken leg or any kind of fracture is just par for the course. Remember, this is the man who woke up one morning and decided, I'm going to do a double backflip on my motorcycle.
Obviously, don't you do that?
I struggle to work out if I can be bothered to press the coffee machine button to warm it up, never mind think about doing a double backflip on a motorcycle 50 feet up in the air.
Look, our cameras have snuck into the bullpen to have a little route around. You can see there the Hinchcliffe, he's, well, obviously tweeting away furiously about hashtag Rock Miami there with Alexander Rossi, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and that is the man we were just talking about. You can tell because of the crazy suit, it is Travis Pastrana as he takes to the hot seat in the RX Supercar Light alongside Sebastian Vettel. This is Group A, Race 6, Heat 11.
So there is Sebastian Vettel, and he is under pressure. Probably as much pressure as I've ever seen him in the Race of Champions, and I go back over 10 years with this event. Look at his eyes there. The defending champion on the verge of elimination here at Marlins Park, with Travis Pastrana standing between Vettel and moving on.
And I have to say, the turn right as they come down, the start-finish straight, turn 1, on that left-hand side as you come down is going to be tricky, because that's where they've got a little bit of the residual on the track. So they're just sweeping it at the moment and just trying to get rid of some of that oil.
And this counts for Pastrana as well, because if Pastrana wins this heat, he's guaranteed to go through and keep out of a nasty count-back situation between himself and 2 other of his group members. So there's definitely everything on the line here as Marlins Park gets ready for Pastrana against Vettel, and Vettel needs the win.
The other half of that big accident with Pascal Wehrlein was Felipe Massa, who appears to be just fine and has even shared a laugh or two with his fellow drivers here in the pit lane. What happened, Felipe?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we were just finished the race. We had to go straight, one each on your line. I was on my right line, and I supposed to keep that line. I was, and I think maybe he touched the wall, and maybe something broke on his car. He just moved to my line, and then we touched, and then he just lost the car and started to bounce really massively. So yeah, that was a big accident. So I was scared that maybe him and also the guy who was on his side got hurt, but thanks God everything was fine and there were no problem, and yeah, it was a big one.
Well, we're glad you're all right. Thank you.
Motorsport, this is real motorsport, and motorsport is dangerous, but once again the safety is paramount here at Race of Champions, and all the cars chosen to compete have to go through strict safety criteria.
So the Group A table as it stands at the moment. Let's have a little look at it. There we go. Castroneves leads the way. 3 races, 2 wins. Pastrana 2 for 2. Vettel 2 for 1. And Alexander Rossi already eliminated from this. So you can see how important it is for Sebastian Vettel to get out there and win. The 4 times Formula 1 world champion goes into this with all the pressure, and Travis Pastrana with that big grin on his face.
And Travis Pastrana's best time so far is not as quick as Sebastian Vettel, as you saw on that graphic. So that even puts more pressure on Pastrana, because he can't rely on going into a tie-break situation and allowing the time to take him through. Vettel on the very brink of elimination from the 2017 Champion of Champions here at Marlins Park. This is the last race of Group A, and Pastrana or Sebastian Vettel will go through with Castroneves. Which one? This is head-to-head. Wait for the green. The lights are green. We're racing. And Vettel did not get a great start. Pastrana gets the best start. And don't forget, he's much more used to rallycross and sliding cars around than Sebastian Vettel. This is a great chance for him to get one over on his great friend and rival.
Yeah, Vettel picking up some speed for the second part of this track as they do the crossover. You'd expect Pastrana to be in the lead, and he is. But Vettel has some making up to do. He's over 1.5 seconds down on Pastrana at the moment. How is this going to end as they come towards the final corner?
I've got no clue. Vettel needs to win at this stage. He comes out the final corner first, but here comes Pastrana, and Pastrana puts out Sebastian Vettel. Vettel is out at the first time of action. Oh my goodness me, that is a big scalp for Travis Pastrana. He goes through and he takes out the defending champion.
I do not envy Bob Varsha having to go and conduct the losers interview, or special people's interview as we're calling it, with Sebastian Vettel. But congratulations to Pastrana, even though the car was slipping and sliding underneath him and he got some air as he came through that corner, he managed to get the faster exit of the two of them and crosses the line just a few feet ahead of Sebastian Vettel. But that is enough to put the 4 times F1 world champion out of the Champion of Champions competition.
So Travis Pastrana joins Helio Castroneves from Group A going through, and Sebastian Vettel, who has never been to the Race of Champions without taking home one of the big trophies, is going to have to do that in the Nations Cup.
So here we go, JP Montoya up against Petter Solberg. These are experienced Race of Champions drivers. They know what to expect, and they know how important this next race will be. The lights are on here in Race of Champions, Marlins Park, Miami. Off we go.
2 wins, 1 win each for these guys, rather, should I say, as they go down to the first corner. And Felipe Massa is the man to catch in the moment. Little mistake there by Solberg, who just overdid it into the first corner. The Polaris Slingshot, the first ever 3-wheeled vehicle in the Race of Champions. Very highly technical. Watch the back end of that car. It counter steers into the corner, so you set the car up and then the back end moves as well, and it's something that is counterintuitive for the drivers.
Absolutely, you can see they're getting some good movement though there, and JP Montoya just really hanging the back out, and Solberg approaches the line, and it looks like a clear victory there. It is JP Montoya, who goes through with a win on that.
And he joins Felipe Massa on 2 victories. Pascal Wehrlein and Petter Solberg sitting on 1 apiece in Group B. Still Groups C and D, of course. We haven't seen those guys in their groups yet. And I'm afraid it was 3 up and 3 down for Sebastian Vettel here in Marlins Park. And Bob, it's the end of the innings for our defending champion.
That it is, John. I wait the cameraman. I am with Sebastian Vettel, 4-time Formula One world champion, reigning champion of champions. But here it is, all over in round 1. What happened?
Well, I was a bit surprised. I think the first race I had, I shouldn't have lost. And then the last one's very close against Travis. But that's how it goes.
Are you having fun?
Well, I had fun. Fun is over now, so I can get changed.
All right. Thank you, Sebastian.
Ryan Hunter-Reay for Team USA. Today is Ryan Hunter-Reay for Ryan Hunter-Reay against the other TK, Tom Christensen, the maestro at the 8.5-mile circuit of Le Mans. How's he going to do around 613 metres? Christensen in the dark car to our left, gets a better start down to the left field line and heads off towards the bullpen. He's got the shorter run back to the finish line.
Yes, these two are very experienced gentlemen going head-to-head here. American flag waving around atop of the white car and the black car, of course, with Tom Christensen in it. And at the moment, it's Christensen with the lead, but don't discount it because this is a circuit where you can make up some serious time in that second loop. Penultimate turn, they're tackling that now.
This is the first action in Group D, which also has Kurt Busch and David Coulthard and Christensen, a man who's been second in the Champion of Champions, not once, not twice, not 3, but 4 times. Surely one of these days he's going to take it. Is it this year? He's brought his son with him this weekend as a lucky talisman and opens his account with a win in Group D.
Good for him. Those are real monsters of cars, aren't they? So I was just getting so excited. I was just looking at it going, these are the cars that the guys quite like to get into because they're so different from their standard cars.
Quite a long wheelbase. The distance between the front wheels and the back wheels quite long, so they're relatively predictable. You can feel the cars moving around. Huge amount of power. Indeed, they are the most powerful cars that we have here. The Whelen Euro NASCARs. Just 330 brake horsepower per tonne, but 450 horsepower and more torque than you would need to tow your house down the street. JB up next.
Yeah, the man who's done over 300 Formula One races against James Hinchcliffe, of course. His dance done there, the Dancing with the Stars program, did pretty well at that. And he's had the Indy 500 pole, but what can he do around this Miami circuit?
Right, this is the first heat of Group C. Jenson Button and Hinchcliffe. Oh, and it looks pretty even at the start, but maybe the Canadian just getting away to start with, but then Jenson Button picking up as he got into second gear in the Polaris Slingshot. Tiny little movements on the wheels from these guys, trying to keep the car balanced and keep it moving forwards.
So at the crossover point, you can see just Jenson Button comes in slightly behind at the moment. You'd expect that. James Hinchcliffe managing to carry some speed into that, but can he continue it through? Jenson Button wrestling with that Polaris. You can see the craftsmanship going into the movement of that steering wheel.
Coming round the final corner, inside line, has a run to it, and it's going to be JP. Just about held on there, half a second or thereabout. You know, when we're starting to talk about just under 0.6 of a second being a comfortable victory, that tells you how close it's going to be throughout the rest of this weekend here at Marlins Park in the city of Miami.
Yeah, you can really expect some very close calls, especially as we get through to the quarterfinals, the semi-finals and the finals. But Jenson Button extremely popular here at Marlins Park, just waving to the fans. They gave him a massive reception when he came out, and rightly so, just newly retired from Formula One. Unlike Felipe Massa, not heading back at the moment. He's retired and he's looking to do all sorts of racing, maybe a bit of rallycross, maybe racing in Japan as well. He gave us that little hint that he would be heading to Suzuka as well, but Jenson Button, big fans' favourite.
So coming out next, the Euro NASCARs. Kurt Busch for Team USA. I think he might have a slight advantage on DC here, although in fairness, David will drive anything very quickly and has been making everybody aware of the fact he wants to win again this year.
Best form of his life.
David Coulthard for Scotland on the inside. Kurt Busch on the outside, pretty even start. In fact, the Scotsman may have got away slightly better as he heads into the right-hand turn. And then up the left field line here at Marlins Park.
Just such a wide beast of a car to try and get round, and as David Coulthard's doing it, he is having a few bumps, I think it's fair to say.
He should be ahead of the crossover, and he is by a decent margin there. Through goes Kurt Busch, and that's a good 2 seconds behind. He's going to have to work. The American is going to have to work very hard as they come the line. Coulthard's still got an advantage.
Just depends how much speed they can carry around Coulthard with a good bit of speed, and can you believe it? David Coulthard has managed to beat Kurt Busch in his own back garden in a car that he has no knowledge of. Incredible.
David Coulthard strikes in the first heat of Group D for him, and that's a big W for the Scotsman. And that bodes well for the Rock Nations Cup later on in the weekend, where David Coulthard's teammate will be Jenson Button, who's with Neil Cole now.
Jenson, that was a great double win there for the GB. You had a good win. How important is it in your first race to get a win on the card?
It's good, but we're in the slingshot, and it's interesting. I don't really think it bodes well for the rest of it, but it's all right. It's good to. Yeah, it's nice to get a win. We always like winning. It's been a little while for me, to be fair, in anything. So it's good fun, and hopefully we're putting on a great show for the fans here. It's great to see more and more people turning up. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, it's Brazil versus America.
Yes, it certainly is. You can see there the wave of Tony Kanaan for Team Brazil versus Kyle Busch, the other Busch brother. Both of them going head-to-head in this next round here at the Race of Champions. That's the bright yellow helmet of the Bushman as he takes on this track. TK on the other side. And off they go, racing to see who can take the first win out of these two, Kanaan or Busch.
And Tony Kanaan, I think, just about gets the run down to the first corner. Kyle Busch made no secret of the fact that he wanted to come and do this, wanted to show his versatility, thinking about what he might do later in his career, or even as a parallel career with stock car racing. Now, Tony Kanaan has the shorter run, has to be smooth, has to try and make up a little bit of time, but he's got the shorter run to the line. This is going to be close, Jenny.
Yeah, absolutely. They both come out of that final turn. It is going to be incredibly close, and it goes to Kyle Busch. Takes it from Tony Kanaan. It looked like Kanaan was in control of that for a little moment, but he just lost a bit of form, I think, on that second go-round. So, disappointment for Tony Kanaan. But for the Bushman, very, very happy there. Congratulations to him. You can see as they come around the corner, very close. Kanaan getting a bit of curb, which slowed him down, lost speed, and he just couldn't take it.
You can't take curb on that final corner. Too excited to get that out. You can't take curb on the final corner on that inside line. It just unsettles the car too much. Well, Kurt Busch takes it, and the good news is he's got something in the win column. Already we know Pastrana and Castroneves are going through. Pastrana will take on Montoya. Massa will take on Castroneves. What will happen in the bottom half of the draw? We'll find out next at Marlins Park in the city of Miami. Race. C and D to find out who will join our 4 quarter finalists that we've already identified from the top of the draw. And we're earlier today, the Race of Champions Day declared, and in the middle there, Thomas Pedro Regaldo, the mayor of Miami, handed over the keys to the city of Miami to, on the extreme left, Fredrik Jonsson, the man for so long behind Race of Champions.
Really nice. Really nice to see the next cars heading out. Kyle Busch and Jenson Button in an amazing car. Brand new. It's the Vuel 05, and I love this piece of kit. The driver's really enjoying it. Spoke to JB after practice yesterday, and he said, yeah, that is a nice bit of kit, and we should be able to have some fun in it.
422 horsepower per tonne, built-in onboard camera. You can see it there in the carbon fibre frame, not the one that's tacked on above it. That's our broadcast camera. There you see it even better between driver and passenger. 2-litre, 4-cylinder engine. Kyle Busch in the white car, Jenson Button in the orange. And off they go down towards the first corner. And this car needs to be driven with a bit of finesse. You can't really throw this one around. There's an awful lot of power here. They're running on street tyres, and this is a street homologated car.
That's a pretty close crossover, one of the closest ones we've seen so far. Jenson Button, a very smooth driver, so this is his style of car. You can see the onboard there, his hands. You can see Jenson with the button symbol on that hand as he crosses through the onboard. Through to the line, it's very tight.
Very tight indeed. I think JB just came through to take his second victory confirmed on the timing and scoring. And listen to the crowd. Jenson Button getting the roll over the American here. That's amazing. And JB goes to the top of the group with 2 wins.
Amazing. Kyle Busch will be disappointed with that because he came out to that final turn in the lead, but it was Jenson Button. You can see he is behind. He crosses the start line behind, but manages to get in front. What was Kyle Busch doing? Did he have his foot off the gas? Who knows?
It's so that is not. He's just about a front splitter, isn't it? As he comes through, just goes through. Takes the accolades of the crowd.
And it has been a long time since Jenson Button was winning things with McLaren Honda. It was fairly woeful for him, and you can see that the other driver is pretty happy for him as well. Hinchcliffe coming over. We've also got Tony Kanaan there, and they're saying, oh, that was so tight. He will enjoy watching that replay again and again and again. Look at that. Really good stuff as the two drivers just congratulate each other. Kyle Busch there.
13 Formula One Grand Prix have been put in the win column for David Coulthard before he retired, and he's up against Ryan Hunter-Reay, and the Atom has spun out on the circuit as the race got underway a little bit early, and David Coulthard is going to cruise to a victory here as Ryan Hunter-Reay struggled at the first corner. Are we going to see the first catch in a pursuit style? David Coulthard will still want the lap time. Ryan Hunter-Reay has stopped to let it go through. Oh, he's going to slow him down through the final corner.
This is going to be messy as they come up to the final corner. I think he's stuck in a gear.
I think he's
can't get out of it.
Yeah.
And Coulthard has just taken that win as poor old Hunter-Reay limps to the finishing line, having only gone around one half of this lap. So obviously a problem for Hunter-Reay, but we don't do a rerun of a lap here. Once the light has gone green, you take what happens. So a DNF for Ryan Hunter-Reay, and David Coulthard makes it 2 from 2.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely correct there, Jenny. Some kind of transmission problem. Ryan Hunter-Reay looking down at the shifter to see what the issue might be. And he lost it into the first corner very early on. And that will be a big disappointment for the American. But just like Rail Motor Racing, we don't get do-overs. You're not allowed to go back and call a gimme.
He's like, where is the gears on this? What do I do?
I'm sure he'll have an excuse ready when he speaks to Neil, shake of the head. And
First rule of motorsport.
always have your excuses ready.
Well, next cars are up. It is James Hinchcliffe for Canada, taking on Tony Kanaan.
And on the line, it is a pair of Vuels, the 05 Rock Edition cars that have an amazing 422 horsepower per tonne, weighing in at just around 1,500 pounds. The lights are green. We're racing. Tony Kanaan in the orange on our left as he heads down and down the left field line. He looked tidy there, like the look of that one.
Yeah, there's Hinchtown as well, just going around as he nears the final turn of that first loop. The crossover period comes, and you can just see they're slightly behind at the moment.
Go fast or go home for these two. If you don't win this one, you're not going to advance. So the pressure is on both of these drivers. It's going to be close. This is going to be very close indeed, as Hinchcliffe comes out the final corner first, but he won't have the momentum. And there goes Kanaan, and Kanaan streaks through, locking up the front wheels. No ABS, no traction control, and an H-pattern gearbox. So you have to heel and toe on the gear, on the central pedal, the brake pedal, and the throttle here. This is proper driving, no electronic aids at all. And Tony Kanaan wins and therefore will progress.
Yeah, won by a nose. Can we say that about Tony Kanaan? He was making all sorts of jokes in the driver's press conference about his nose. But look at this. How close was it as they came around that final corner? But just the better exit by far from Tony Kanaan. And he takes that victory that was so important to him. That means that Hinchcliffe is dancing his way out of the competition.
And Tony Kanaan then 2 wins. Excuse me, that's his first victory. Jenson Button with 2. And so the next race is going to be super important.
Right,
here's Tom Christensen. Yeah, now TK, Tom Christensen. And he is lined up in the Ariel Atom. As alongside him, Kurt Busch. Light to green, the stars and stripes fluttering in the breeze for Kurt Busch as he almost loses it down towards the first corner for him, the right-hander, but somehow saves it. Is that just the door over for Tom Christensen?
Yeah, he's never won this competition, always the bridesmaid, even though he's taken part in so many. You can see him just mounting the curve there as he comes to the crossover. Nicely taken, and once again, the American car of Kurt Busch taking some extra slide into that first turn of the second loop.
No wins on the board for Kurt Busch so far. Is he going to get his first one here? I think he is. He will have the run to the line. Oh, Christensen's going to make it hard for him, and Christensen does it. And that's the first time we've seen someone from the right-hand side, driver's right-hand side, being able to hold off the momentum that comes from the faster corner on driver's left. And Christensen was celebrating early there and had to lift off as he was going across the line to brake for the first corner, but he held on. Tom Christensen takes another tick in the win column, and it's 2 wins for Christensen and Coulthard. Busch and Ryan Hunter, that's Kurt Busch, still yet to trouble the scorers.
Wow, amazing finish to that race. And actually, from this amazing vantage point looking down, wow, that was close. Look at them go through there. There are just a couple of inches in between that. So you can see the fire lighting here at the heat of Miami. And there is the very happy man of TK as he celebrates some of the action around here at the Race of Champions. A beautiful day, a beautiful beach, and a beautiful venue for this, one of the most exciting events in motorsport. Make sure you come back and join us for more action here from a baseball park turned into a racecourse.
So let's go and have a look at the Group C table. Jenson Button out front at the moment with 2 wins. Tony Kanaan and Kyle Busch with a win apiece. James Hinchcliffe, the mayor of Hinchtown, is looking for some votes at the moment. Our 2015 NASCAR champion will be alongside Hinch. And this is a really important run for the Canadian in the Rock Buggies. First time that we've seen the Rock cars. Smallest engine here, just 1.1 litres, another motorcycle power plant, but one of the favourites of the drivers. Watch how they get the front end to dive before they turn in. Green lights, and we're racing. Hinchcliffe needs this one down towards the first corner. Busch on around the Pinchers Mound and up the right field line, all looking very tight for the moment.
Yeah, you can really see these cars ducking and diving, the suspension working overtime there. Kyle Busch just taking a bit of curb, and you can see Hinchcliffe is the man out in front. He takes the crossover first, and now it's all up for Busch to do. He's a little bit behind, but he can make that up as they come round both almost in unison at the final turn of this.
Across the the second part of the lap, but not by much, 0.3 of a second. And I'm afraid James Hinchcliffe is struggling here and still has not got a win on the board. 2 for Button, 2 for Bush, and 1 for Tony Kanaan in Group C.
Makes it pretty feisty when it comes to the final rounds of Group C. Plenty to play for. Kyle Busch there. Look at him, it dazzles that car. It's a beautiful piece of kit.
Proper 1970s metal flake paint. Always looks brilliant under the lights. Now, Group D, Tom Christensen and David Coulthard, the old hands are well out in front of Kurt Busch and Ryan Hunter-Reay. One of Christensen and Coulthard can go unbeaten into the elimination rounds, and there will be the head-to-head next. Tom Christensen with the open face helmet, David Coulthard with the salt tyre. In the fuels, the 05s. New for this year, lights are out, racing. Coulthard in the white and black car, locks up the front end, no ABS, no traction control. This is proper driving, H-pattern gearbox, have to heel and toe on the brake and the throttle. Christensen, rallycross in his roots. His father was a European rallycross champion, and as they come across, well, you'd expect him to be ahead, and he is.
Yeah, only by a slim margin though. DC versus TK, and this is going down to the wire as we look who can get the 3 from 3 here. It's going to be incredibly close as these two veterans of motorsport battle it out. Round the final turn it is, but DC looks in the lead and he manages to keep it. The Dane was trying to catch him, didn't quite manage it, and Coulthard makes it 3 from 3.
David got very sideways coming out of the last corner, the right-hander, and almost gave up the advantage he'd gained, and now giving his passenger a little more of an exciting ride as he heads back to the driver changeover area. A loss for Christensen, but his place in the next round is assured. Busch and Hunter-Reay will go head-to-head, and the winner of that will be in 3rd position. The loser will end up on a big round 0. Now look at Tom Christensen. That is the classic Christensen Race of Champions grimace down to the first corner. And he was trying at the end there, coming out of the final, and he just couldn't will that car to go any quicker.
So the Rock Buggies are back on track. It's Jenson Button versus Tony Kanaan. JB with 2 wins to his name, Tony Kanaan with 1. So it really is up to Kanaan with a lot of work to do here if he wants to progress into the knockout rounds of this competition. A steely stare there from TK. But what can he do as he looks at the lights here at the Race of Champions?
So Jenson Button, hands off the wheel. He's very relaxed at the moment as the engines rev in the Rock cars. Jenson Button on our right will have the run down to the home plate hairpin. And I couldn't pick them apart there, if I'm honest, Jenny. Absolutely nothing between them. It will be Kanaan. Oh, Kanaan's just clipped the side slightly. Don't think he's had a warning yet. Kanaan should be back to the crossover first, and will be.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll take the crossover first, cutting in very, very quickly. And at this point, it's Jenson Button that cuts in as well. There's a very small margin in between these two drivers. Jenson Button slipping and sliding all over this asphalt, trying to close the gap. Can he do it?
And Jenson's going to be close here. He's got to get the power on early. He's done it. Now can he hold it? He has. Oh, Kanaan's gone off. Kanaan's gone off. He knew it was going to be tight. And Tony Kanaan came round the final corner and just overdid the right foot, sliding into the central reservation. Ooh, dear me. Kanaan thought he had a chance there, but Jenson Button has another win, and Tony Kanaan, I don't think he's done too much damage to the Rock car. They are very robust indeed. In fact, he hasn't even affected the steering arms, which you can see there. But there's a big dent in Tony Kanaan's ego.
Yeah, certainly that'll be a hard one for him to take. But Jenson Button, we've just seen David Coulthard take 3 from 3. Jenson Button joins in there, and I think that's a feisty combination going forward. The two men who will be partners tomorrow when they're in Team Great Britain against each other at the moment.
Now here's Kanaan coming around the final corner. Oh, he got a little bit of a tank slapper going on there. Turns in, it's all looking good here, gets back on the power. Oh, hit the inside curb. Oh, steering wheel came off. The steering wheel came off in his hands. Let's have another look as we wind that back. Am I believing what I'm seeing? Tony Kanaan had one just like that, but the wheel came off. That's the first time I've seen anything like that in the Race of Champions. He was trying so hard and gripping so hard, he literally pulled the steering wheel off. Tony Kanaan explaining to Jenson Button, but they can have a laugh about it here at Marlins Park. Group D matchup on the line, 2 of these fantastic Fuel 05, and it's the last race in Group D. It's Busch versus Hunter-Reay for the final win, and the loser, I'm afraid, gets a big fat 0. Ryan Hunter-Reay with a decent start. Had a problem with the e-brake, the handbrake on his Atom, but he's got the fuel away nicely. Coming round to the end of the first lap. Kurt Busch has gone through in the lead in the orange car.
Hard to believe that neither of these guys have a win chalked up on this. It shows how hard it is to win here in the Race of Champions at Miami. So one more corner for them to do. Who's going to come out in front? It is another close battle here. It's so close, but I tell you what, just taking it is Kurt Busch. He managed to get that extra speed coming out of the final corner, a slightly longer approach to it, and he gets one win on. Ryan Hunter-Reay bitterly disappointed. He goes home with that wooden spoon, a big fat 0 in the wins column for him. He deserved a bit better than that, but unfortunately it just wasn't to be today.
Yeah, but it's all just a bit of fun, remember. This is what the guys have been telling us all week. You watch this and tell me that these guys don't want to win. So we head now into the best of 3.
It is Travis Pastrana going up against Juan Pablo Montoya. 2 guys who know a thing or two about a racetrack. Different styles, very different way of approaching it, but they will do all they can.
The car is the Radical SR3 RSX. Radical race car manufacturer in the UK. Do some road cars as well, but mainly track days, sprint and endurance racing cars. And they've built nearly 1,000 of them since 2002. This is the new SR3 RSX, improved aerodynamics, and a real great entry. Another motorcycle engine in the back of this car, rear-wheel drive only, running what would normally be wet weather tyres here, no slicks required. You want the cars to move around a wee bit. Paddle shift gearbox, and the guys getting to grips with these very quickly indeed. Dramatic styling at the front end of these Radicals. Pick a winner, Jenny.
Oh, don't make me do that, Pastrana.
Oh, that was pretty impressive.
Well, who are you going for?
Well, I'll go for Montoya then, because he's been rather the quiet man. Pastrana has been telling everybody he's going to win it. Montoya has said he's just here for fun and gets beaten off the line as Travis Pastrana gets the whole shot down towards the home plate hairpin underneath us and heading up the right field line. Behind those strap-on goggles, he looks really mean, moody, magnificent.
Yeah, the crossover point, it is, as you would expect, Montoya that takes the crossover first. Then it is Pastrana. He goes into the turn, taking a fair bit of speed, a little stumble. But what can Montoya do in reply to Travis Pastrana?
Well, it's all about getting out of the final corner from the driver on the shorter run. It's tight, and here comes the outside line, and Montoya wins for Hindhaugh. And in the booth, there's a bit of jostling going on.
I'm just not talking to you anymore, that's fine.
But remember, that's just one. First of potentially 3 heats here. A popular win and a problem immediately for Montoya, who has stopped on the run round to the second heat. They will swap lanes.
Pick a gear, any gear. Come on, find it. You can do it.
No, he's not at the line yet, so this is smart. All the drivers have been told once you get to the line, that's it. So Montoya making sure that everything was all right. Also gets to warm his tyres up whilst Pastrana was sitting on the line. Is that a bit of gamesmanship?
Certainly clever from JP Montoya, but would you expect anything less from Juan Pablo?
The equation is simple now for Travis Pastrana. It's win or go home. The red lights on the Christmas tree in the middle of the track are counting down. Green and go. Quarter-final. Pastrana gets another brilliant start and commits massively to the first right-hander heading off down the left field line.
Bearing in mind he had the cooler tyres, that was a terrific start for Pastrana, but it's Montoya you can see here on your screens in the orange and white car taking a very quick line around the outside. What can he do on the second lap of this Race of Champions circuit?
Oh, he's hit the curb on the first corner of his second half of the lap, and that may cost him just enough time to allow Montoya to hold on here as he comes through the final corner. It's going to be close, but surely Pastrana will come through. No, he couldn't. Montoya goes through 2-0.
The crowd love that here as well, despite the fact that we're in the US of A and they think Pastrana did well. They clapped him, but they were loving the fact that Montoya showed him.
And Travis Pastrana, the man that put out Sebastian Vettel, goes out at the quarter-final stage. Juan Pablo Montoya is our first confirmed semi-finalist for 2016. I thought that tiny little dink on the final corner might have cost him, but as he came around, Pastrana just couldn't hold on and pull alongside. Beautiful line out of the last corner from both drivers. Montoya, semi-finalist.
Look at him climbing out of the car there. The man in the horizon yellow, very happy with himself, releases his gloves. The helmet will be off next, and you can see he is delighted with that. The guys from Radical just stood behind him. He gets a very well-earned handshake as well.
Should mention as well, all of the manufacturers here with their representatives, very proud to be taking part, and they're all really on top of their game as far as the mechanics are concerned.
It's a battle of Brazil, John Hindhoff, because we have Massa versus Castro Neves. These are two experienced guys. They're in the Rock Buddies and they're ready to go.
Lights are green and we're racing. Juan Pablo Montoya is already in the semi-finals. Felipe Massa or Helio Castro Neves will be joining them. The Rock Buggies swing left, right and left again as the two Brazilians are doing battle for a place in the semi.
Yeah, Felipe Massa there just crossing over. This is going to be incredibly tight. Just look at the splits on that. 0.6 seconds for Massa. Castro Neves as well. They're both just weaving that car around this circuit.
Advantage Massa for me, Jenny, as he comes round. It was an awesome opening lap, and he comes round through the final corner. And in fact, Castro Neves is not in sight there. A decisive victory in the Rock car for Felipe Massa, and that all came off his run to the first corner and an immaculate run through the S's down the right field line.
So fast, his Brazilian flag flew off. Neil is with the man through to the semi-finals.
Oh, you're our first semi-finalist. You went about business quietly, but you looked like you were hungry for that win.
Yeah, I really wanted it. Last time I drove the Radical against Felipe, really screwed up on the start, and so I tried to get a couple of decent starts. The first one was really good. The second one was okay. It wasn't perfect, but I didn't lose so much ground, so it was okay. It was fun. It's fun. It's funny how competitive we are. You know, because we all relaxing, talking, making jokes, but you go out there and you just drive the hell out of it.
See you in semis.
Thank you.
And Felipe Massa and Helio Castro Neves are racing off for that position in the semi-final. And again, it's simple maths. It's got to be a win for Helio.
Yeah, Massa taking the crossover first. He's wheeling around. He's taken a lot of curb there. As Helio Castro Neves, you can see there.
It's going to be Massa again. Helio Castro Neves just hasn't gone through. I'm pretty certain Massa is going to do a 2-0 here again as he comes across the line once again. He's flown the flag, or at least his flag has flown. And Felipe Massa celebrates his return to Formula One with a semi-final appearance here at the Race of Champions 2017. Well, earlier on, Travis Pastrana knocked out the reigning champion Sebastian Vettel, but he's gone himself now. Bob Varsha has the American.
Been a surprising race of champions, and no more so than in the case of Travis Pastrana, who, as you said, John, puts out the reigning champion of champions in Sebastian Vettel, and then is in turn eliminated by Juan Pablo Montoya. Did you leave it out there on the track?
Left everything on the track, man. It's such an honor to be here. I was disappointed. The Buell, any of the cars that really have not sliding, I have trouble with. So I was really hoping we didn't get that one. But you know what? That's what's the beauty of it. All these drivers have to drive everything. You know, definitely against Sebastian Vettel to be in my wheelhouse was an awesome benefit. So would have liked to have gone further. Thought we could have, but it was good. Good to be here in the States and USA, man.
Good to have you here. Thanks.
So this is the C quarterfinal. Tom Christensen, 4 times the bridesmaid, never the bride, looking for a place in the semi-finals against Jenson Button. JB, the UK's most experienced in terms of starts Formula One driver, and now I think this is quite close. Obviously at the crossover the Dane is ahead, but that's because he had the shorter run to it. Typical gritted teeth from Tom.
Yeah, I love those on boards, and you can really see the rubber starting to go down on this circuit. It evolves as they go through, coming towards the arch. It's going to be very close. TK gets the better run out and just manages to pip Jenson Button by 0.1966 seconds. That is close.
See, 1966 is normally a good year for the Brits. Last time that England won the World Cup, but Tom Christensen turns that around to a victory in the KTM Crossbow, a car that has come back faster, stronger, and even more hairy for 2017. A car that used to be prone to a bit of push understeer. Let's have a look at the end of that race again.
Yeah, very tight. You can just see Jenson Button taking a fair bit of curb into that final turn. That could have cost him, but I think TK was slightly in the lead anyway. His finger goes up, and now the reset back to a race start, and off they go.
So Jenson Button in the darker coloured KTM has to win this one to take it to a decider. Tom Christensen, the man who's made Le Mans his own in the last decade.
Little kiss of the barrier there for TK. Nothing major to talk about though, and he's locking up his steering wheel.
I think he's got it all to do here, because Jenson had a pretty good run as he slides through up the right field line, coming back to centre field now. Who's got the advantage? Christensen might just get to the final corner first, but Jenson will have the run of it, and he goes through and takes it by less than a car's length, and we've got it do or die, head to head, man against man decider.
Such different styles of driving with that crossbow. Jenson Button looking like a gentleman, just tiptoeing around, whereas the other side you've got TK ragging it, one hand on the wheel at some points in time, just getting it round.
Yeah, Jenson Button, epitome of an English gent, as if he was sitting in his club chair. Tom Christensen, the Dane, looks like he's wrestling a moose.
I love the fact that this one is going down to the wire. TK versus JB.
Half a car.
Love it.
So Tom Christensen, the man who has made his career in the longest race on the longest circuit, 8.5 miles, now has about 38 seconds to get through to the semi-finals, and Jenson Button is the man standing between him and that.
Really nice start from Jenson Button there, but what can he do? The crossover happens. It's TK that goes through first. A bit of sideways slant there from Jenson Button going into the second part of this lap.
Oh, but Tom Christensen went a tiny bit wide as he came through past home plate, and this is going to give Jenson Button a chance. TK right up against the wall, Jenson right up against the wall. Final corner, Jenson on the inside in the black. TK comes through. It's side by side again, and TK's finger is up, and it is confirmed that Tom Christensen heads towards the semi-finals. Can he make a 5th final appearance in Race of Champions, and the gritted teeth replaced by the Danish smile?
Wowzers, bedowsers. That was close. Jenson Button thought he'd done enough. We did too. Well, I did for a moment, but it wasn't. That's the end of Jenson Button's Race of Champions. He'll be back tomorrow with David Coulthard, but it's TK, Tom Christensen, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, that progresses through, and look at the concentration on that face.
Do you know what? I reckon he'd win much easier if he closed his mouth. That cannot be aerodynamically efficient.
How many flies has he got in there? That's nasty. It's mosquito time here.
That was only about a third of a car, if that. The onboard from the sharp end of the KTM And just look how close that Tom Christensen gets to the wall. Look to the right-hand side. Do we see Jensen? No, we don't. We stay ahead. Down in the driver change area, Neil Cole has got the Great Dane.
Tom, the difference between 24 hours of Le Mans and 36 seconds in Miami is huge, but you do progress. You look like you were taking that pretty seriously.
For sure, he's very serious. Like, look, the man. I mean, we were cycling this morning at Key Biscayne, and Jensen is not catching up on my birthday, but still, he had birthday the other days, and pretty good days, and I had a lovely dinner with him 2 days ago, so it's not very fair to beat him, but I was trying very hard, and it was very, very close.
I mean, this guy, you never want him in a race here. He's just super consistent. As you can see, it's so close every race. So, good job, buddy. You got to go and win the whole thing now.
That's right.
Thank you.
And who is going to meet him in the semi-final? It could be David Coulthard, who got a very decent start indeed in the Ariel Atom Cup car with the big aerodynamic wing on the back. At the moment, he's behind Kyle Busch, but that is as expected. Oh, that is beautiful. What a thing of beauty by Kyle Busch as he rotated around home plate hairpin.
Amazing control. I thought he was going to lose it, but he kept himself in the game. Right, the two cars coming up to the final turn. I think it's DC that's going to get this by some margin, and it absolutely is. So David Coulthard takes the first of these 3 heats to see who goes through to the semi-finals of the Race of Champions.
David just trying to warm the tyres and the brakes. Almost puts it into the wall there. Now, practice start. He's an old pro. He's just seen his Nations Cup teammate Jenson Button eliminated by another highly experienced Race of Champions competitor. He will not want to go the same way. Get first gear. Again, this is an H-pattern gearbox. Coulthard, eyes on the prize. And the prize right now is a win for a semi-final place. Lights are green, and David Coulthard could go through to the semi-final here. Kyle Busch needs a win to stay in the competition. Much quicker around home plate hairpin than he was the first time around. Perhaps not as late, but he seemed to take a lot more power and speed through there.
Yeah, David Coulthard, the Scot, really throwing that car around. He takes the crossover first, but you can see Kyle Busch there really struggling to come to terms with this. Is this the final moment we see Kyle Busch in this competition? Because David Coulthard is wiping the floor with the man who is closest living to Miami.
And unless David Coulthard throws it off, he's going through to the semi-finals. And the heat from the flamethrowers announce another semi-finalist. David Coulthard with a comfortable 2.1 second victory, 2-0 to Kyle Busch. And Coulthard will go through to meet his old adversary, Tom Christensen. They've been against each other in the past. Well, brilliant run through to the semi-finals. 4 drivers are left. Who will contest the title, Champion of Champions? Marlins Park is the venue, and we'll find out next. Well, we're here at Marlins Park in the city of Miami, and we've whittled it down now to just 4 drivers. Montoya and Massa have gone through to the semi-finals. In the bottom half of the draw, the experience, Christensen and Coulthard, but only one of those two can make it to the final this time. Montoya, a rookie, debut in the competition. Felipe Massa's only been here a handful of times, whereas Christensen and Coulthard between them have got 25 times here at the Race of Champions.
So it's Colombia versus Brazil in the semi-final of Group A, and they are off. So a nice start from Felipe Massa there into the first turn.
In the Ariel Atom Cup car race series for these cars back over in Europe on the wide open road racing circuits, but they are equally at home here in the tight confines of Marlins Park and the Race of Champions. So Massa has a lead, pitches the car in sideways, just about holds on to it. I think he must have used the U-brake there.
Yeah, that was a really tough turn as they come towards the final turn here. Who's going to get first blood? I can tell you it's a tight split. More speed coming from Massa, but he bumps into the barrier. He still buggy.
Look at the right rear rock buggy wheel. I think there's a bit of damage there, certainly a bit of white paint. Has he got away with it? He's moved the fender, the wheel arch, but I think he's okay. Waiting to hear from the stewards to see if he gets any kind of penalty there. Nothing coming through, so that will count.
Remember, they just get a yellow card, don't they, for the first touch?
Let's have a look.
If they don't do it again, then they won't get a red card and a time penalty.
That was a heavy hit, Jenny. You're absolutely right. And I've got to tell you, Felipe did a great job to keep that car pointing in the right direction. Question for me would be, has he upset the suspension trajectory and geometry at the back of that car? It looks a bit toe-in to me, but no time to look at that as we head straight on to the second one. And JP, nearest to us, has to win this one. 5-second penalty for that touch from Massa, so that takes the win away from him. So now must win this one. It was too heavy a hit. Our judges in fact thinking he took an advantage there by not lifting off, and I think they were probably right.
Absolutely. So Massa with it all to do now. Montoya takes the crossover first, as you would expect. Massa really fighting that car. I think there might be a little bit of damage to the suspension at the back. Certainly it's not quite aligning as he would like it to, but can he still compete and push Montoya, the debutant, to the battle?
It's close. Here's Montoya on the outside, takes it by a car's length. Montoya goes through to the final in his first appearance in the Race of Champions. I told you, he was looking hot.
I think Massa will be bitterly disappointed with himself there, because he cost himself that victory. If he had just kept the line as he went through that, then I don't think he would have lost that with a 5-second penalty, and then obviously a slight maybe tweak for that car.
Well, they've come back to the line, but I don't think it's going... Well, they're going to run another race here. Here's the penalty that we are hearing is being called. The judges saying that Massa should have lifted off there, and he didn't, given a 5-second penalty for taking the advantage to the line. The guys have lined up again because they clearly believe it's one each.
Who wants to tell Massa? Not me.
No. They're sitting waiting in the aerial at them. Cup cars. There's no red lights on in the middle, and the time penalty for plus 5 seconds being confirmed. The guys are waiting to race, but I think it's going to be given up. They're pleading the case at the moment. Massa supporters having a word. Put it to the crowd. Are we going to have a crowd vote here?
Oh, I'd like that. We could do it by text, couldn't we? Who do you think? Rock Miami. Hashtag Rock Miami. But
honestly,
this will be a decision for the stewards.
I think so. Or just even Montoya doesn't know.
He's saying, what's going on?
They are being told that it's 2-0 to Montoya. So Montoya wins it on the time penalty from Felipe Massa. Felipe will be bitterly disappointed. Here is the crucial moment, the deciding touch. Great piece of car control from Massa that the car didn't spear across the track. But when you've got less than a car's length, Jenny, and the yellows came on at the end of the race, I think that's a reasonable penalty from the stewards.
I've seen that look before on Felipe Massa's face, having worked in the F1 pit lane, and that is a what? What did I do? Tell me. What went wrong there? His brother...
Oh, listen.
Oh, booing. Big boos here from the crowd at Miami Marlins Park.
I knew they'd get into it. I knew they'd get into it. They know what's at stake. This is a final position now. I wonder if Montoya might be having a word here.
Does he even know that he took such a heavy hit? Because in the car, you might not have such an idea of how heavy that hit would have been.
And do you know what? You're right there. There's damage to the wheel, and Neil Cole is our man on the spot.
I'll explain. What's happened? So the situation is that the stewards penalised you 5 seconds because the hit was so hard that they figure you gained an advantage by not lifting up.
I hit once, it's part of the rules. So one time you can hit, not two. That's what's happened.
I think that
I lost time hitting the wall. I didn't want to hit, I lost time, so I don't accept it.
That's the situation.
But remember, it's all just a bit of fun. We told you right at the beginning of Race of Champions 2017 that whatever they say, and he's stropping off there, that is a place in the final that is being snatched away from Felipe Massa. The racing moves on. David Coulthard in the Velo 5, the debutant car this year against Tom Christensen. And it's an absolutely even break down towards the first corners. Left for the Dane, right for the Scotsman. No glasses this time, been wearing tinted glasses, Tom, to give him a little better view of his turning points. But the trademark open mouth for Tom Christensen as he comes through, he's close. I think he's close enough to give Coulthard a run.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. Unless something happens in this, I think it will be Coulthard's to lose. They come round to the final turn. Definitely the Dane has the advantage, but he's got the slower exit on that. No, it is. It goes to TK. Well done. Tom Christensen takes the first of that. And let's pop down to the driver's lounge. I think Juan Pablo Montoya is with Bob Barsha.
Well, Juan Pablo wins over Felipe Massa with a time penalty to Massa for touching the barrier. When you got out of the cars, Felipe looked like he wasn't sure what was happening. You knew immediately what was going on.
Well, they told me, I mean, he won that he hit the barrier. You know, I beat him in the second race. I guess he probably hit it in the first one, but it was great. It's fun. You know, I was happy I made it through the first round, so this is just a bonus. You know, it's amazing. I want to thank all the fans that came out today. I mean, I didn't know this was so cool. I would have done it ages ago.
And now you're in the final as a rookie. Congratulations.
So Tom Christensen and David Coulthard for the right to meet the rookie. How long is it since JPM's been called a rookie in anything? In the final, the champion of champions playoff awaits one of these two drivers, and David Coulthard has it all to do against Tom Christensen, who has the advantage at the end of the first lap, and it's a good advantage.
Yeah, and a very slow turn there for DC in the Scottish flag. You can see TK, we're on board with him now. What can the Dane do? He comes around the arch, but he's locked up and he's lost it. Can he do enough?
Yes!
Oh, what a
nearly threw it away. Christensen did everything in his power to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, but somehow hung on. He was defying the laws of physics with the back of that fuel. I thought he'd lost that. We've seen a lot of people overcook that final corner from that side, Jenny. That was extraordinary piece of car control from a man used to driving at 200 miles an hour. This was about 45 or 50.
Fantastic, look at that. His arms really just crossing over, trying desperately to control that steering wheel, and he points across at DC's line. This is mine, he says. So, who will be the champion of champions?
We've got 3 races to find that out. Marlins Park will crown a new champion of champions this year. Go. At Marlins Park in the city of Miami, Tom Christensen has won his way through to the final, and he will meet Juan Pablo Montoya. Christensen, who is the most experienced man in terms of Race of Champions appearances here this year. Montoya, a rookie, believe it or not, who is having so much fun, and this one is wide open. Jenny, go.
Yes, they're getting ready to come out in the first of the cars. This is where it gets interesting. 3 races, 3 cars, 3 chances to be crowned the champion of champions. And the first car is a tasty little morsel, isn't it, John?
Well, this has been one of the driver favourites, brand new this year, the Rallycross light car, all-wheel drive, 4 wheels driven, and this car built for quick-fire action, much as we have here in Race of Champions, but with a little dirt thrown in, and there's not been dirt in the Race of Champions for many years since we left the Canary Islands in the 70s and 80s, which is in some ways the spiritual home, certainly the spiritual beginnings of the Race of Champions. 2 identical supercar lights Rallycross cars coming to the line.
John, who do you think these cars favour the most? Would it be Montoya or would it be Christensen?
I think Tom in a Rallycross car wouldn't be able to show his face back in Denmark with his father, his late father being a European Rallycross champion. So Tom has got to make this good, but the way Juan Pablo's been going quietly, confidently about his business, Jenny, really, this one is too close to call. Holding the cars on the e-brake, waiting for the green light. The revs are up. Oh, fantastic start from Juan Pablo Montoya in the black and orange car. He has the advantage, no doubt in my mind.
Absolutely. And you can just see there Montoya sliding the car around this Miami circuit. A few problems for Tom Christensen, so Montoya should be pretty close close at this crossover when the two cars change onto the other side of this circuit.
Yeah, Tom Christensen didn't make the most of the shorter run to the crossover there, and he's got it all to do, but he's neat and tidy through the S's of the right field line. Montoya won't get as good a run. Christensen's had a great second half of the lap. It's going to be very close indeed. He pulls alongside, but Montoya takes first blood in the Race of Champions final for 2017 by 0.2 of a second. Brilliant second half of the lap from Christensen. Came up a tiny bit short.
Yeah, recovery drive I feel that was for Christensen. Just that little bit stretching behind, but he couldn't quite do enough. JP Montoya goes out. Now, to explain what happens if you're new to Race of Champions, they don't go round again in the same car. They will now go into a different car. So that's it. And look how close it was. A little bump on that curb, didn't he, for Montoya?
You could see the left front wheel clawing at the air there from Juan Pablo, and he just about held on by a car's length. If that straight had been maybe 10 or 15 yards longer, that would have been Christensen's. He had the momentum. So the Rallycross car has gone to Juan Pablo Montoya, and that to me is a real shock. What do we have next? Answer: the crossbow.
I love this. This is such a different car, isn't it? You can really push it around this circuit here in Miami. I say circuit, don't forget, it is a baseball park that's been made into a circuit. And while the guys get ready to try and compete here, we welcome Terry Grant back onto the circuit. And this is all about to get a little bit sideways.
Yeah, big change from all-wheel drive and the Rallycross car to two-wheel drive on the back, 355 horsepower, a massive 380 brake horsepower per tonne. And Terry Grant taking a Saturday afternoon drive in his Range Rover. And after all the hooning around and spinning of wheels, the SVO V8 Range Rover is going to be a little more sedate.
Maybe.
It's Terry, of course.
Do you think he wants some friends?
Yeah, he's probably looking for the Labrador to put in the back of the car.
Oh, our friend David Coulthard is getting... David Croft even is getting into the car. David Coulthard's probably a bit busy, but Crofty isn't. He's here as the stadium announcer. He'll be interviewing the winner of Race of Champions in a very short while, either Montoya or Tom Christensen, but at the moment, he's having the ride of his life.
Well, nice and comfortable in the back of that Range Rover. Terry Grant is not one, though, for giving any kind of free lift or ride to anyone. David Croft on the inside. The right rear window has gone down so that we can see Crofty's expression. I think he should have been on the other side, because I've got a feeling I know what's going to happen here. I've never seen this done with a Range Rover before, with smaller cars, and clearly neither have the crowd. And I'll tell you now, David Croft thought that was going to go over, because that's exactly what you feel when you get put up on two wheels. I have been in this position on the other side of the car.
Shot.
Well, right, Grantley will not take that. He will not take that lying down or sideways over.
He's quite good at reversing.
The SVR is on its way back underneath our drone, and Crofty gets to experience it all over again. So now, I don't know if it's better or it's worse, because he knows what's coming. Just look how carefully it's done. Rolls it up and catches it on the very edges of the tyres. I've seen it with small hatchbacks, minis, small Fords, but this is 2 tons of SUV from Range Rover, and that is brilliant stuff. Terry Grant giving David Croft something to write in his blog.
Crofty still holding on for love and money at the end there, even though the car was back on 4 wheels. I want to see his face when he gets out.
Oh no, I've not seen this in a Range Rover either. Oh dear, I hope Crofty didn't have anything too spicy for his lunch.
What about the cameraman that just was stood right next to that car? Terry Grant, extraordinary talent.
21 Guinness World Records for precision driving, including getting a car into the smallest space either side. Fastest reverse flick, narrowest gap driving, you name it, he's done it.
Most amount of tyres ever used by one person.
In an afternoon. And as Terry comes back around, I've just got a small feeling that the ramp hasn't been changed. I wonder if he's going to have a go without Crofty in it to prove that it can be done. Is he clearing the stage?
So it's just an incredibly tight first turn to try and get that vehicle around to. Oh, look, Juan Pablo Montoya. Fun might be going on track, but look at those eyes.
So Juan Pablo Montoya, in his first ever Race of Champions, has battled his way through to the grand final. The champion of Champion Tag, last year held by Sebastian Vettel, who went out in the first round this year, didn't get through to the knockout stages of the competition. Tom Christensen, a man who knows what to do in the final. He's been there 4 times before. He's yet to lift the big trophy.
Is this the time, though? Is this his moment?
2 drivers that I really did think were going to be there or thereabouts. Let's go to Neil Cole with David Coulthard watching on.
David, you're an ex-Race of Champions of Champions. At this moment behind you, you have Tom Christensen and Juan Pablo Montoya. What does one of them have to do to be Champion of Champions?
Well, you've got to say Juan Pablo doesn't have experience as event. He's done incredibly well. Tom is consistent all the way through this event, and in many ways, having done it so many times and been the Nations Cup winner a couple of times, it'd be nice for him to win overall. But maybe with Juan Pablo living locally, it would be nice for the local crowd, but you know, they have to be consistent and deliver. So let's wait and see. It's been a great battle.
But it's funny, isn't it? Because this year Tom equals the Stig's record of 15 Race of Champions, and there's a rookie in the final. This is wide open.
That's the nature of Race of Champions. You know, you have to be consistent, you have to deliver, and you know, clearly Juan Pablo's been incredibly consistent. So let's see what they can deliver now.
Are you disappointed that you're not in the final?
Yeah, of course, because you want to go as far as you can. But that said, you know, Tom's retired as well, but otherwise, you know, I think I'm the only really retired guy here. So one event a year, I've gone further than I expected.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, all valid points from David Coulthard. I'd say, as we've been talking all week, Jenny, that these are 2 of the people that I expected to get through. I expected Coulthard to get through. Felipe Massa was a little bit of a surprise to me to get as far as the semi-finals, but you can imagine why he would do it. But still, the biggest shock for me is Vettel not being in the knockout stages at all, never mind not even getting to the final.
Yeah, absolutely. Sebastian Vettel, this is a place that he loves. Race of Champions, a race he comes back to again and again and again. He was teammates with the great Michael Schumacher for Germany, and you'll see him teaming up with new boy Pascal Wehrlein tomorrow.
Pressure's on for
in the
those
Cup
two
of Nations.
now.
It really is, because Vettel won't want to go home empty-handed. He doesn't do that from Race of Champions.
He's booked the second seat on the plane to take a big trophy home. So, you know, he's going to feel a bit strange if he doesn't do that.
Well, he might not be able to do it in Formula 1 for a while. So, you know, you've got to do what you can.
I bow to your better knowledge of that formula than I. KTM Crossbow, this is a car that has, down through the years, in slightly different trim and tune, been a staple of the Race of Champions, but this version is debuting here at Miami. More power, 355 horsepower.
And look, clever Christensen didn't want to go up to the plate with his cold tyres, so he just reversed the car back, so he made sure Montoya wasn't getting any advantage when it came to heat.
And put some rubber down on his starting area as well. You're right, Jenny. They're lined up here. Oh, almost a jump start from Montoya, but I think he just held it. The green lights are on. The first of potentially 3 heats to determine the 2017 champion of champions. They're even in the first corner.
Yeah, who is going to get this? Remember, Montoya took the first, so it's up to TK to do all he can to get it back. And I tell you what, this is going to be a very close heat. Montoya just brushing that crossover.
Tom Christensen then, having lost out with the rally car, has to make this one count if it's going to go to the third and deciding event. And it's going to be very tight indeed. I'm not sure Christensen's done enough. We might have a rookie winner here. Christensen is there, but no, Montoya comes through. Montoya wins it by next to nothing, 0.0845 a second. We've got a rookie winner, and Tom Christensen, for the 5th time, is runner-up. Oh, Tom, what have you got to do to win this?
Look at the joy, though, on Juan Pablo Montoya's face. This meant a lot to him, and the crowd here at Marlins Park are loving it.
So Tom Christensen might have wanted 3 extra runs that I was trying to give him, but it's 2 runs. He'll prove that he can turn up with the best of them now as the 2 finalists in 2017 in the Champion of Champions runoff are burning some rubber.
Have they been taking lessons from Terry Grant? Because this is precision driving from the Dane and the Colombian here at Race to Champions.
Left foot slightly on the middle pedal to lock the inside front wheel and keep the right foot planted as the Cup cars, aerial Cup car, KTM Cup cars running round. We'll talk to the winners and the losers next as we celebrate the Champion of Champions at Marlins Park.
Now here's the thing, now you've come and beaten everybody, why didn't you do this sooner?
I didn't know it was this much fun. If I would have known it was this much fun, I would have come earlier.
And it would not be a victory without a celebratory hug for the family as well. That's just magnificent. Has it surprised you that you've come here as a rookie, even at your age, as a rookie, and won through and won the final?
Yeah, I really thought I was so happy if I could make it through the first round. That was my goal, not to lose the first 3 races.
Which you didn't. What was the best victory, other than winning the final? What was the best race, do you think?
Beating Pascal on the rally car. He was so good yesterday. I was so determined to beat him today.
And you have all your family with you as well. How cool is that?
Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, Juan Pablo Montoya. And let's see if we can get a word with Tom Christensen in a minute as well. Tom, if we could just grab a quick word with you, because it takes really 2 great men to make a great final. Commiserations that you came runner-up again.
I'm trying hard, it's my destiny in that sense, but for sure I thought at one stage I had it in the first time, but don't try to believe that. With this one I had a bit too much oversteer on the left, so Juan Pablo doesn't look back, so this is a deserved winner, and to have been gone that far, it's always fantastic, but for sure I have been a few times in the final and would love to have won, but I guess we have to have a Race of Champions in Denmark. Maybe that can help me a bit, but it's a fantastic event and I love being here, and we go back a long time. I'm a bit older than Juan Pablo, but I remember when he came up from Formula 3 at that time, so it's deserving to win here on the home course where he lives.
You can't take anything lightly at the Race of Champions. Every single round you're up against a great driver.
Well, the 2017 Race of Champions has come to an end. Juan Pablo Montoya, in his first outing in the championship runoff, has been crowned, or will be in a few moments' time, the Champion of Champions. The quiet man that we identified early on in the week, Jenny, has gone about his business, and poor Tom Christensen in the final again, but couldn't even chalk up a victory. He'll go home as runner-up.
And do you know what Juan Pablo Montoya said before this event started? That he came here and he used to watch baseball here before, which is fantastic, and he put his experience of this and the benefits down to saloon car racing in Colombia when he was a kid.
With 90 horsepower saloon cars, and he's never thrown out the first pitch here. I have a sneaking suspicion that the Marlins might be on the phone to him next week to see if he would like that particular honour as well. Bob Varsha has the 2017 Champion of Champions.
Montoya, who has dominated, frankly, today, winning the final in 2 straight heats. You must be enjoying yourself.
Yeah, I'm over the moon, to be honest with you. Honestly, I hadn't done this event before because I didn't sure how it worked. Honestly, my wife is the one that said, I want to go, you better race. And honestly, I had a blast yesterday. It's kind of weird because you go out and you drive like 4 or 5 laps on each car, and you go from a rally car to a different car to a buggy to a KTM to a Polaris to whatever you name it. It's pretty amazing.
Obviously, there's a huge Latin community here in South Florida. You were one of the pre-race favorites coming in. What does it mean to give those people what they wanted with the victory?
Oh, it's great, to be honest. I told my wife, the only thing I don't want is I gotta make it through the first round. If I make it through the first round, and I was looking at my group and looking, okay, Pascal was so good in the rally car yesterday. I said, oh my God. Felipe, I heard he was really quick in the afternoon, and he beat me in the morning. It just worked out.
And now it's on to the Rock Nations Cup representing Colombia with the very young Gabby Chavez. So what will happen there?
I'm excited because we know I think I can get the job done again. And Gabby adapts as good as I do to every car. So I'm excited.
Congratulations. Another line and a glittering resume for Juan Pablo Montoya.
Terry Grant, one of the first to cross to commemorate and congratulate our winner, and Tom Christensen, a gallant loser here at Marlins Park. Pablo Montoya, introduced to the crowd a few hours ago, got a huge ovation, has lived here locally. The action got started, and from then on we've been treated to race after race of close finishes, great car control, and a bit of a scary moment for Pascal Wehrlein.
Yeah, the young Formula One driver had that big crash, but it's been a controlled environment pretty much apart from that. Travis Pastrana, a very happy man.
Put out the defending champion Sebastian Vettel, and then went out himself in the first of the knockout stages.
And then Jenson Button, of course, in that Polaris, trying his best, couldn't get through. And the Canadian James Hinchcliffe also going out, some surprise exits from some very skilled drivers. But it was this man, Juan Pablo Montoya, putting on his gloves and steely determination.
Terry Grant wowed the crowd as ever with precision par excellence. Montoya, Massa, Christensen and Coulthard into the semi-finals. And it was Juan Pablo Montoya and Tom Christensen who got through into the Champion of Champion runoffs. Juan Pablo never been here before, but Tom Christensen, of course, the most experienced Race of Champion competitor here this weekend. Looked like the Dane might just take it into KTM, but Juan Pablo came through and notched the win, having beaten the Dane in the rally car 2-0. Juan Pablo Montoya is the 2017 Champion of Champions, held for the first time in the USA at Marlins Park here in the city of Miami. A worthy winner for 2017. Tom Christensen, once again, the runner-up.
Tom Christensen, runner-up at the Race of Champions again. Tom, the man behind you, Juan Pablo, arrived and he stole the show. Did you expect that?
No, I mean, I know Pablo going back a long time. I remember the very first Formula 3000 tests he did with my team, and you see, there's something special, and exceptional career he has got, so absolutely no doubt. He has a lot of very good car control, and he throws it in the corner and looks for it, so he's a deserved winner. But having said that, I've been in the final before, and I'm for sure trying very hard to win. I struggle a little bit in the Toyota because I haven't driven it today. I just did the test yesterday, and that probably put me a little bit off. But a deserved winner is absolutely Juan Pablo, there's no doubt.
Now, over your right shoulder is the Cup. You've come very close several times. Yeah. What do you have to do to win Race?
No, it's a great event, and for sure when you are going to the final, I mean, with these 16 fantastic drivers, they are gathering every year, and particularly this year, I am very, very proud of having won the final, or entry to the final. So it's no problem. The Nations Cup, I always trade very, very well, as it's a team effort with Matthias Ekström in Paris and with Peter Solberg in Barbados, and we will have a chance to try again tomorrow. But and again, it's an event. It's a celebration of motorsport in general, and being here, it's always something unique. And when you're in the final, you try to win. If you don't win, the first thing you say is congratulations to a deserved winner. That's what sort of it had learned me. And in a way, I'm far too old for this, but I enjoy always the invites.
I mean, you're a true gentleman, but give us an idea from your perspective, having done 15 Race of Champions. In this baseball stadium, it feels really good compared to Barbados, compared to Wembley.
Yeah, it's very good. The temperature as well. I mean, there's a lot of things that the Olympic Stadium last year in London was fantastic too, but the temperature here, it's the vibe, everything. It would have been a really good one to win, but nevertheless, we will make sure that we will celebrate Pablo for winning tonight, and then we'll see when we gather tomorrow for a great Nations Cup, which is even more special as you are a team. I like that aspect. I mean, being at Le Mans, these are the things that you can win and lose together, share things about the car. So I look forward for that event as well.
And you've certainly had enough seat time in all the cars by getting to the final.
Tired, you know.
Congratulations,
Thank you, Neil. Just the wheels of Juan Pablo Montoya's KTM there going by on that onboard shot on the left-hand side that cost Tom Christensen a shot at the third and deciding run here at Marlins Park.
He has to be one of the nicest men in motorsport, doesn't he? Such a gentleman, the absolute way to go racing, and always say congratulations to your competitor when it maybe doesn't work out.
A privilege for me to work with him in the endurance community over the last almost 2 decades.
You know what, he's so respected within that community that he's actually invited to be an F1 driver steward as well and give his opinion on all of the sort of controversies that happen in Formula 1. So very well respected amongst every single fraternity within motorsport, and rightly so.
Tom Christensen there on the podium again. Now, earlier today we had another competition. The drivers got to grips with that 3-wheel Polaris slingshot up on the roof. This was one of our skills tests. Sebastian Vettel came second, and the Mayor of Hinchtown, James Hinchcliffe, was our winner.
Being the skills competition, of course, we got the individual race, we got the Nations Cup, so there's a lot of different action that we have this weekend. We had some fun up here, and everybody was really, really close. You got a bunch of professionals, so it was a tight competition.
A real challenge for all of the drivers, getting to grips with 3 wheels instead of 4 in that Polaris slingshot machine. And James Hinchcliffe taking home the Skills Challenge Championship trophy. Looks like we are getting ready to crown our champion of champions with David Croft down there as our master of ceremonies. Let's get down to the podium. Tom Christensen may be getting a bit old to get up there. Here's our runner of this year.
And he will be presented with a Louis Moinet watch that we have for our 2 finalists down here. Beautiful, gorgeous Louis Moinet watch. You stay there, sir. And also a bottle of bubbly that's coming his way, and of course the runners-up trophy, which we should have here. Brilliant. Watches first, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to present the watch here. Jean Chalet from Louis Moinet. Congratulations to Tom Christensen. We have the runners-up trophy as well. That will be presented to Tom Christensen, as I said, in his 5th grand final. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, to join Tom Christensen on the stage. Your champion of champions winner, Juan Pablo Montoya. Obviously, no winner wouldn't want our watch as well. In the grand tradition of the Race of Champions, Juan Pablo receiving the Louis Monet watch, and also we wish to present him with the Champion of Champions trophy. From DHL, our partners here at Race of Champions, Mike Para, to present the trophy. And some champagne as well, some sparkling wine from our partners, Chandon. Time to put down the trophy, time to pick up the champagne. Hang on to, guys.
So on his debut at the Race of Champions, Colombia's Juan Pablo Montoya has won the 2017 title. And really, poor old Tom Christensen, Mark, 5 times the bridesmaid, still not the bride. I mean,
yeah,
he's obviously such an accomplished driver, the most decorated endurance driver of all time, 8-time Le Mans winner. He can't get the one that he really wants, which is Race of Champions.
I know, it's a strange event though, isn't it? I mean, it's a lovely event because we do pitch, we said at the top of the show, pitch so many different drivers from so many different disciplines in so many different cars against each other. This is not about who's best in something in particular, it's about who's most consistent across the whole range of machinery they got, you know, under the pressure that they're under when they go up against another driver. So fair play to Montoya. You know, we said that at the start of the show, perhaps this decides the best driver in the world. There he is, your best driver in the world, Juan Pablo Montoya.
Yeah, that won't go down particularly well. He's shown his versatility all through his career, popping either side of the pond. With success everywhere he's gone, really, you have to say. 7-time Grand Prix winner. He won the Indy 500 last year. And, you know, clearly it's versatility that works at an event like this.
Yeah, no, he's, you know, I've heard many people say it over the years, you know, he might be sort of not, well, past his sell-by date in age, but he's not, because he's so naturally talented. You know, whatever he gets and he does well. And, you know, it's weird to say someone of his age is a rookie, but he is a rookie in this event. And he's sort of walked away with it. So, you know, good on him. It was a good last race, actually. I thought Christensen was going to take it to that final third round, but it wasn't to be. And, yeah, no, I'm happy for him. At the end of the day, he's an IndyCar driver now, so it's good for our sport that he came out on top.
Well, it was a controversial night and a few incidents peppered the evening. Let's have a look at the first of which was really our heart was in our mouths, wasn't it, with Pascal Wehrlein and his passenger guest, VIP guest as his passenger. Yeah. And Max, you were utterly surprised that no one walked away, that no one had serious injuries and were able to walk away. Well,
they were seriously lucky, because the first wall they hit was the plastic bollard, which, okay, they're plastic, but they are, at the end of the day, pretty strong. And they did land on top of that with their head, so I'm amazed they didn't get any sort of injuries from that. The thing they were really lucky with is when they actually hit the dangerous wall, the concrete wall, they hit it with the bottom of the car. If that was, you know, 180 degrees round and they're on their heads, they would have been in all sorts of trouble, because there's those roll cages are so thin, they would have just given way straight away. So, you know, someone was looking down on them at that moment in time.
Yeah, I mean, it's been an eventful couple of weeks for Pascal Wehrlein. You know, he's trying to get in his stride coming into Formula One for Sauber in 2017, and then this happens. And, you know, he played it very cool at the end there in an interview, but it must have shaken him up.
Well, I think so. And, of course, that poor passenger who's in there, who's an unsuspecting member of the public, he was even videoing on his mobile phone by the look of it as he stepped out. I'd love to see that footage. But, I mean, it's a weird incident, I think, because he overcooked it coming out of the last corner, didn't he? And then he just got all horribly wrong from that point. I don't even quite know how it happened. But, yeah, I think you're right. It was lucky in the end that they did both get away with it.
I think he must have been looking down, because it was bizarre. He drifted wide out of the last corner.
Yeah, he was.
And most of the time, you'd then sort of come back to your line. He didn't come back across and just whack the curb. But it was quite interesting. His previous race in the Rallycross car, the commentator said he was lucky he didn't get a penalty on that because he had ran wide that time. So maybe that was his natural line and he was looking down at something, or maybe he missed a shift and he just wasn't looking where he was going, because any racing driver, anyone, it doesn't even have to be a racing driver, you just sort of, you stay clear of that stuff, and he just drove straight into it.
Well, Felipe Massa was involved in more controversy a little later on. He himself had a penalty. Do you think that was fair? I mean, it wasn't a popular decision with the crowd and certainly wasn't with him. It was deemed that he touched the wall and gained an advantage because of it, Mark.
Well, yeah, there's a rule in this event where you get a yellow card, if you like, if you hit the wall. Just if you touch the wall, if you hit it once, if you hit it twice, you get a penalty and a red card. That was his first hit, as far as we could tell, so we thought it was a bit harsh here in the studio. It was quite a big hit. Felipe Massa thought it was pretty tough on him as well, didn't he?
He certainly did. Let's remind ourselves of what he said.
So the situation is that the stewards penalised you 5 seconds because the hit was so hard that they figure you gained an advantage by not lifting up.
I hit once, it's part of the rules. So one time you can hit, not two. That's what's happened.
I think that
I lost time hitting the wall. I didn't want to hit, I lost time, so I don't accept.
That's the situation.
Well, he took that. He's not happy. I mean, he clearly took it very seriously. And, you know, obviously it's a bit of fun, but these guys are competitive creatures and, you know, they're racers.
Well, it's a good thing to have on your sort of your rostrum of career wins is the Race of Champions. And I think that was a bit unfair, to be fair. And actually, considering he's South American and you're in Miami, they could have easily made that go down to the third race. And as he said, he only clipped once. I think it was a bit harsh of the stewards to sort of take the fun away from the crowd. So we did hear quite a lot of booing after that call from the stewards.
Now, here's something that I haven't seen before. A steering wheel coming off in a racer's hand.
Yeah.
What was going on here, Mark?
I don't know. I mean, we see the close-up of this in a moment, but it's Tony Kanaan coming around the corner. And he was actually pushing very hard because he was still in with a very good shout of winning this race. And just there, the steering wheel is now in his hands, not turning the wheels of the car. I feel for the guy who put it on as a mechanic. You must feel for the guy who was holding it as he went steaming into the barriers.
Shock, yeah. We saw he had a problem, but it took to like 2 or 3 replays for you to get that side-on shot, and you could see it straight away. The wheel's up here and it ends up down here. So yeah, very, very fortunate. It wasn't.
Do you reckon he still turned it as it was off the end of the steering column?
Yeah, it's natural. He probably just kept doing and nothing happening.
Hey, we've got to have a quick word on Sebastian Vettel because reigning champion was knocked out in the group stages.
He was.
That was a bit of a shock and would not have gone down well with the German.
No, I think that was a bit of a shock actually. You know, we were looking for good things from him, and he's a big name in the contest. I think we're all expecting a bit more, and he will be very disappointed because he's, you know, like you said, you know, you turn up at an event like this, it may not be the thing that you're into, you know, that your career is centred around, but you still want to come away and do well. They're all competitive, so to go out that early will be disappointing. But of course, they got tomorrow where they all come together and racing for their countries, if you like.
The Nations Cup. Yeah, let's have a look then at who is going to be competing that for which country. And of those, who excites you? We should just say in Group A, because there are more teams in each of those, the top 2 go through, but for the rest of the groups, it's just the winners. And you've got to, I mean, Jenson Button and Coulthard just jump out straight at you. And actually, we thought at one stage they might be up against each other, didn't we, in the semi-final?
I thought they both did very well today. I thought they stood out to me, but that stands out as a really strong team for tomorrow.
We're looking in instead as a you know, a united group of countries, because they were definitely right up there performance-wise this weekend, or this evening. So looking forward to seeing how they get on tomorrow.
And there's Group C as well. Felipe Massa and Montoya up against each other once again. I mean, actually, this should be a bit of fun tomorrow, shouldn't it?
I think so. I think Team Brazil, actually, Massa and Kanaan is probably quite a strong lineup too. So I think it's some good racing for tomorrow. We've got lots to look forward to. OK, well, thank you both very much for your company tonight. And tomorrow you can join us from 5 to 5 on Sky Sports F1 Race of Champions at 5 to 5 tomorrow. And then it's the Australian Grand Prix not long to go at all, 24th of March. But we will see you tomorrow for Race of Champions, the Nations Cup. Bye-bye.
Enjoy Sky Sports Live. On all screens, on the go, and the best bits on demand.